All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64. We got that light up there that's reflecting off the TV. All right, I wanted to go live to show that 2025 is, in fact, the year of the rapture. I didn't notify anybody that I was going live, so I need to wait for a moment to see if we can get some people in here. Gary the Beast, Rapture Revelations. Hi, hello, everybody. Doppel 76, how you all doing? Just gonna sit here and chat. Does anybody have any questions? I'm gonna sit here and chat until we get some more people in here. Grumpy Bag Lady, Valley Watchman, Zealot for Christ, Christopher Cooper, Nikki D, Justin. Everything sounds good out here in the secret broadcast cave. I took off the background because everybody says that the black screen was wobbling around and making me look weird, so I took it off. Now you get a look at all the trash behind me. I don't think I can fix the outside light much. No, I can't fix the outside light much. Let me see something here. Let's see if I can. Give me a second. I'm going to move the cabinet here. All right. Off to a slow start. 55 people in here. All right. That's good. That's good. Now present. I'm trying to remember this program and how to share my screen. I really need to get it up on my phone. How's everybody doing this Saturday? Stole that from Lisa Boyce. I love that. That's awesome. Watch over to the dragon. She's in here. Hi, how are you doing? Sherry Talbot. Look it up's in here. How you doing? Doppel 726. Guy is in here. This is the secret broadcast cave. It is not a, what is that word? Quansent? Quansent? Eyes and ears. All right, we got 84 people in here. Let me try to find it on my phone. See if I can find me in here live. I don't know how to do that. Let's see your videos live. Nope, it's not going to show it yet. I always have that problem finding myself. So, okay. All right, 75. We went backwards. We're up to 84 down to 75. Hut like in MASH. All right, so I wanted to hold alive. There has been a lot of questions about how the Jubilee cycle works. And we have two frames of references from the Bible. One frame is God told Noah, I give man 120 years. We all took that and ran with it and said, well, the Jubilee cycle is 50 years, so that's 6,000 years. The problem with that is the only year that you can start creation is 4003. I am fully aware that they are changing creation year to try to fit this into a nice, neat little box of 6,000 years, but it is not 6,000 years. It's over 6,000 years. If it were 6,000 years, the rapture would have occurred in 1997. And we're all still here. And nobody saw a rapture in 1997. I haven't seen four horsemen running around. And while some locations on earth have seen famine, I haven't. There's a lot of people who haven't seen famine. This is going to be a worldwide famine that's coming with the four horsemen. A lot of stuff's going to be going on. So we can't change dates to try to tie it up in a nice, neat little package and say, it's 6,000 years. So we can't think like that. Then after, and again, I said this in a couple videos, I never wanted to research out the Jubilee years because I thought it was out of my grasp. I didn't think I would be able to figure it out. It's not, I'm more in line with calendars than I am with, I can find dates and align them up and see the symmetry in it when I put it on a timeline. But to go 6,000 years was, in my opinion at the time, was way too much, way too difficult to understand. But then I started listening to people like Heather R. She's very articulate, very intelligent. And so I want to come on here and present how I know for a fact that 49 years is how long a Jubilee cycle is. I can do that easily. Now, I couldn't do it just a month ago, but this thing has been going on. Sister Sandy's been working on the 6,000 year chart. I worked on a linear timeline. She's put it into a graph, and it's quite incredible what she's been doing. So, Mike, question. Okay, I like that. Have you watched Rock? Of course, yeah, I've watched Rock Island Books. I don't have the only formula that's going to get us to 2025 and 2032. Aaron is very numerical. He came up with this 77 and 84 a couple of months ago, and it was very good. It caught my attention because, in fact, 2025 is 77 years, and 2032 is 84, and we have that picture of Jacob leaving out of fear of his brother Esau, running, and within that year marrying. I'm sorry, working for Laban for 7 years and then marrying. Now, I'm not sure about the story as being, oh, it was 7 years and it passed so easily, and relating that to 7 years of tribulation, but it does match. It is symmetrical and it does match, so I like it. However, and it does come to the same conclusion I do. However, it's quick and easy. And I do believe, for example, I've been watching videos and some people will say, I'm not numerical. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Does that make you any less saved? Absolutely not. That's silly and ridiculous. If you're the type of person that can reach, study into the Bible, compare scripture with scripture, and just pull the juiciest stuff out of the Bible, more power to you. We're all not like that. We're all here bringing our piece of the puzzle, presenting it to everyone else. If you're not numerical and you and here's the thing, I keep hearing people say, well, if you're just here for a date, then here's your date, get out of here. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to give you a date, March 16th, 2025. I'm also here to present to you why I think that is. Now, if you're not numerical, at least you can listen. And if you don't understand, that's okay. You'll go somewhere else where they're more in tune with you. My YouTube is geared more towards calendars and how they fit. And when I began, and I said this 1,000 times, I've assembled calendars for a long time. I used to have a timeline on my wall in my bedroom, and every day, and this is before we had cell phones, before we could look anything up at a whim. We had cell phones. I didn't have cell phones back then, so you had to listen to the radio, write this stuff down, and every day I would come back and write it down. Now, I learned very quickly that people's opinions on when things happened are not symmetrical. So I tried to build the timeline, and I wound up pulling it down, saying it's not feasible. It doesn't work because I found this date and it contradicts that date, so it didn't work. And then I built this one. This one works. This one fits, and I will go up against anyone, and not against, but I will present it to anyone and show that is in fact is symmetrical and it works. So I tackle the Jubilee cycle, and what do I find out? I find out that Aaron's 77 and 84 actually works. It actually works. It is absolutely simple for those who are not numerical. You can look, Google it. You can look when Israel became a nation. You can see mathematically that 77 years later is 2025. And you can see that 84 years after they were established, that it's 2032. All of those dates land in May 14th. However, I think that those numbers are for the Jews. They are not for the bride. I hear people saying, well, Jesus fulfilled the first three or four of the seven feasts, but he didn't fulfill the last ones. He sure did. He was born on tabernacles. He went, was baptized, went and with this new Holy Spirit that he was able to survive 40 days without eating and also deal with the devil. And then when he came back, it was 5 days before his birthday. That was the Day of Atonement. That's when that happened. Every single one of them has been fulfilled by Jesus, all of them. So are we looking for a rapture to occur on one of these seven feasts? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it's any one of these seven feasts. I think it's a remote thing that we see that not everybody knows about, but mathematically could be concluded. And I think that's a day that has nothing to do with the seven feasts. I think the bride is set apart and different. All right, so I love you guys that have these dreams. I don't. I have sporadic dreams. I've seen the mansion. I know what it looks like. I've always said dreams are wasted on me because I'm pretty much clueless as to what they mean. I take them to Spinebreaker, and he tells me what they mean. All right, so let me share the screen. Let me see if I can figure out how to do that. See, I gotta find this so I know what's happening on your site, because as soon as I do this, I can't see your comments, and I want to see your comments. So let me see if I can find this live. Let's see here. If I could find it, that would make things easier so I know what's going on. Otherwise, I have to jump back and forth to see if it's functioning, whereas I could actually see it live. Plus, I'd like to see your comments while I'm talking. Let's see here. Yeah, darn it. Subscriptions. Let's see. It's not showing me that I'm live, but I know I am because you're all are in here. Let's see here. I don't know how to get to. Can somebody send me a link, maybe? No, that wouldn't work because it's not in my phone. Oh, maybe in Discord somebody could send me a link to my channel. Is there anybody here that's in Discord? You could send me a link to. Well, that didn't work out. Hold on one second. Somebody could send me a link to my channel. I could go in there. It fell down and it disappeared. Where did it go? Hold on a second. Sorry about this. Oh, I see it. Okay. Getting old hurts. Let's see here. All right. All right. I'm back. Anybody in here that's in the Discord that could send me a link to Discord? Let's see here. Oh, there she is, Sister Sandy. Do you ever sleep? She never sleeps. Okay, there we go. Let me turn the volume all the way down. Now I can see the comments and I can see what's going on with only a slight delay. All right, I'm going to present. Let's see. Video file, share screen. And I want to share this and this. Oh, okay, I'll share this. I guess I have to go back to do this. I'm not familiar with StreamYard too well. So, hold on a second. If I'm sharing that, oh, okay. Yes, I can enlarge it. Let's see here. This is what I made. Sister Sandy put it in a nice, neat little package. Okay, there we go. You guys can see what I'm seeing. Okay, good. Now, up here, I can't bring this any lower. Up here, we see M17, which means March 17th. Okay? That was the beginning of the Shemitah cycle, the 49-year Shemitah cycle, and it was the beginning of the Jubilee year. The Jubilee year will begin every 50 years, but it will be inclusive with the Shemitah cycle. So, Jubilee begins here on March 17th. Shemitah begins here on March 17th. It runs throughout this year until March 16th, until over here, where the Shemitah begins again. But the Jubilee doesn't. It won't begin again down here for another 50 years. However, the first, hopefully I can articulate this properly. This is the first Shemitah cycle, and it goes all through the year. That's one. That's why you see the numbers down in the bottom right corner, because that actually completes that cycle. It also completes that year of Jubilee to March 16th. That finishes the Shemitah and the Jubilee cycle. Then it continues on throughout the year. If you don't do it this way, if you try to skip and say, no, the Shemitah doesn't start in there, you will knock away the seventh year Sabbath of land. You can never move away. That's why God spoke about this first in Leviticus. You will never be able to keep the land Shemitah in line every 7 years if you attempt to do that. So we come down here. Here we are on the 49th year. It begins here on March 17th in 2025, and it ends here on March 16th in 2025. It starts here on March 17th of 2024, and then it goes all the way through the year, December, January, February, March 16th of 2025. That's 1 year. It begins here and ends here. The following, that's the 49. That's a full 49 years, 100% fulfilled 49 years. Here is the beginning of the new Shemitah cycle and the Jubilee. Now, we see in Leviticus, which I'm going to bring up next, we see in Leviticus, can I bring that up just as I please? Let me see if I can bring that up. I have to wait for a moment to see if it appears. Let's see here. Am I behind? Or no, it's just slow to get back to the phone. Give it a second. Let me see. Let me make sure I'm sharing the next screen that I changed over to. Well, that's taking a while. Is it still sharing the same screen? Yeah, it never switched over. Hold on a second. I think I have to go back to StreamYard. And I have to, let's see, present. Yeah, it never went over. Hold on a second. Stop screen share. I want another one. Let me see. Let me stop sharing. Let me share screen again. And we'll go to Leviticus. I guess that's the only way I can do it. Okay. That's why I wanted my phone up. Otherwise, I would have never known that I wasn't sharing. Now, here we have in Leviticus the explanation of a sabbatic year. It will go 6 years, and in the seventh year, the land will rest. You can read this in Leviticus 25, 1 through 7. Perfect, right? 1 through 7. You have 7 years for the sabbatic year. Now, this is where people get confused. Nope, the Jubilee is 50 years. It is not. It is 49 years. Let me show you what happens. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. And thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee. 7 times 7 years, and the space of 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto thee 49 years. So we have established it's saying 49, right? It's not 50, it's saying 49. Then thou shalt cause the trumpet of the happy time. That word Jubilee is not, you don't wait for Jubilee to begin in springtime and then blow the trumpet on the 7th month and 10th day, 10 days later than you normally would for the other 49 or 48 years. You would blow it on Tishri 1. Here, it's telling you to blow it on Tishri 10. That's telling you that a Jubilee is coming up. It is not telling you to blow it halfway through your Jubilee. That doesn't even make sense. On your marks, get set, go. Or you just say go. You see what I'm saying? The trumpet is blasted and alerting everybody that the Jubilee is coming and the end of this 49 year Shemitah cycle is coming. 49 years, thou shalt cause the trumpet of the happy time to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. We are now 6 months and 10 days in. In the 7th month and 10th day, we're 6 months and 10 days in. Now we're going to blow the horn. We are in the 49th. It says it right here, 49. We are in the 49th years right here. That's what we're in. And we're going to blow this trumpet now. It's a unique year because the Jubilee is coming. We're going to blow the trumpet right here on the 10th day of the 7th month. Okay? That's when we're going to blow the trumpet. And it is going to alert everybody that in 5 months and 20 days, that the Jubilee will be here. And what happens when the Jubilee comes here? It's the return of property right here. That's what happens. That's why I think that the rapture is going to occur on March the 16th. But we have evidence of something occurring on March 16th, and we have evidence of something happening on March 26th, which is Nissan 1 and Nissan 10. We have evidence of both of these things. So, in the year of this Jubilee, and again, because of the wording here, I would think that everything would be, all contracts would be null and void, and they would have been written in the previous 49 years. I would think that all contracts are null and void as of the very first day, Nissan 1 of that Jubilee year. And people might gather their, but you would think that since trumpets was blown back here, and you have 5 months and 20 days there, everybody would have been getting ready to end and go. They would leave on the first day. That's why I think the rapture is the first day. But then you have the triumphant entry on the 10th day. So now we have that. Now, I wanted to, let me switch. I'm going to switch, but I want to go to, we'll be back to it here in a moment, but I want to go to Revelation. I want to go through Revelation 4 right here. Okay. We'll come back to this window and let's see. Stop sharing. I think I have to do the stop sharing thing again to get back to this window. Let me see. Yeah, I got to do the stop. That's weird. I would have to do that. Okay, stop sharing. And then we're going to present. And then we're going to share screen. And then we're going to choose video library. And then we're going to share that. So, like the Bible says, on September the 24th, which is Tishri 10, they will blow trumpets. 10 days later, the year is split up by 2 6 month periods. But for some reason, in this moment here is where you blow trumpets. It also just happens to be the 7-year anniversary of the Revelation 12 sign. We saw it pass. It also happens to be the day of equal parts. There are 2 days of equal parts every year. There's Nissan 1. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, Nissan 1 would technically be March 17th, but I say March 16th because at sunset, it becomes the 17th at sunset. So, 7-year anniversary is the Revelation 12 sign. It's also the day of equal parts. When I did this, because I've asked the Lord so many times, Lord, why is the day of equal parts offset by 10 days? I saw it was on I saw that it was on the Day of Atonement, but I just didn't understand it until I built this thing with the great help of Sister Sandy. I built this thing, excuse me, sorry, and realized that in the 49th year, God is going to use the Day of Equal Parts here and the Day of Equal Parts here to represent the heralding in. So, us to blow trumpets on the right time? No, he's not. We don't have, none of us have the right calendar. Well, I think I do, but that's not the point. There's something that happens every year. You can go into time and date and look it up. You can see that on March 16th, it's the day of equal parts. And on September the 24th, 25th, you have to allot for that extra day in the Gregorian calendar, but it's the day of equal parts. God set it up that way. How beautiful is that? They blow trumpets 5 months and 20 days later on March 16th at sunset, March 17th, we will see what I believe to be the rapture. It will begin the Jubilee cycle and the first year, because you have to go all the way down to complete the year, to call it the first year. And this will be the first year of the new Shemitah cycle. And it will be all year long, starting on March 17th. It will be exactly the Jubilee all year long. So I ask you, and a lot of people like, we follow the moon. That's fine, follow the moon, but your moon will not do this. Your moon won't do this. Your equinox will not do this. No other calendar will do this. The only timeline that I've ever, and that's why I'm stuck to this timeline so fervently, is because the only timeline that allots for this is God's timeline, using the day of equal parts to map out exactly when these things happen, and they never change. Ever. They never ever change. You can go back through time, forward through time. That's why I would argue with anyone that there never was a 360-day year. Just didn't happen. It just never was. I know people say that there used to be and then it changed. No, God set this up from the very beginning. It has never changed. For example, somebody on YouTube was making a video and they said if you deduct from the Day of Atonement and you go back 1,260 days, you will land on the cross. So I instantly went into Google and said, what was the Day of Atonement in this year? And then I subtracted 1,260 days. I said, what was the day of Passover this year? It didn't work. It didn't work on that timeline that I Googled, and it didn't work on this person's timeline that they created. So what does 1,260 days mean? It means that you're missing the Kasei. There's 4 Kaseis every year, 360 days, and the 4 Kaseis. If you go 3.5 years, there's 14 days. 4, that's 12 plus 2 for the 6 months. That's a total of 14 years. So if you subtract the Day of Atonement of September the 24th, you go 1,274 days, not 1,260, but 1,274 days. Guess what? You land on March 30th. That's how it works. And it's perfect. So their math, while they're meaning well, they really are. They're meaning well. Their math is not functional. It doesn't actually work until you understand what you're reading. When you read 1,260 days, it's not 1,260 days. It's 1,274 days. If they would simply put those 14 days in there, it'll all make sense. So there never was a period of time where there was 360 days. First of all, the planet would rip itself apart if it moved that much quicker to increase the amount of, how do you say, the planet would have to go faster to decrease the amount of time to 360 days. It would tear itself apart. That's not how the planet works. Aside from God himself, of course, God himself could do anything, stopping time for 20 minutes. Now, ironically, and I don't like to give fuel to their fire, but ironically, if you take 20 minutes a day times 364 days and divide it by 60 and divide it by I forget what the math I did, it actually turns into 5.25 days. So 360 days, and those 5.25 days would represent the 20 minutes. I hate to admit that, but that's a fact. All right, where are we at? Let's see. He's off by 14 days. Yeah, it is off by 14 days this year. You just can't use the moon. It just doesn't work. It amazes me that people can rip the Bible just tooth and nail, tear it apart, compare scripture with scripture, just find the juiciest things I've ever heard of. I love listening to them. They're really great researchers. And then completely ignore the fact the moon just doesn't work. It just doesn't. There are not 150 days from the flood to the cross. It just aren't. It just won't. It just won't work mathematically. I like math or calendars that represent symmetry, and that's, to me, is the best way to explain all of this. All right, so we did this. Sister Sandy's been helping me. We did this. There is another thing that we know about, and that is Israel. Or no, we see in Psalms 90:10, their years are 70, 80 by reason of strength. How do we know that we can start swapping around years for decades and all that other stuff? We do, because God said 1,000 years is like a day, and a day is like 1,000 years, right? Well, here they are. Here's the 4,000 years to Jesus. And here's the 2,000 years to 2025. I'll get closer in a moment. But that's a day is like 1,000 years, 1,000 years like a day. But that represents 2,028 and a half years, because we have 3.5 years from September to March 16th, 2025. That's where that 28.5 years is. What happened during this 28.5 years? Well, when Jesus was 5 days, it says right here, and again, I'll zoom in a moment, but in the year 26 AD, Jesus was just 5 days shy of his birthday, which happened on Tabernacles. He was 5 days shy of his birthday. This is where, in 25 AD, Jesus, after his 40 days, began his ministry. He began his ministry on the Day of Atonement, 40 days after he was baptized. So why is it mathematically different? Well, I found out from another channel, Ivan S28, I think it is. I think it's Ivan S28. He said that the arraignment of Adam was that he had to be tilling the ground, or mankind had to be tilling the ground for the entire period of time. The entire 6,000 years. That was the allotment. But when he was up in the ark, he wasn't. So we have the 556 days, 1 year and 10 days that Noah was on the ark. And then God just changes the year, the head of the year. He's like, well, it's 2024 to September, and in March is 2025. I mean, he could have done that throughout time and really shortened this up, and the devil would have had a whole bunch to complain about, but he didn't. You know what I'm saying? He didn't shorten it up like that. He put the time back in. He had to fix the problem. And of course, he knew about it before it was ever created. And he created the problem. But September does not match with March, except it be 6 months out. And then the time that we see here from when Jesus was born on Tabernacles to the time here where he began his ministry on September the 24th on the Day of Atonement, which is 5 days before his birthday in Tabernacles in 26 AD, representing 30 years, or 5 days prior to 30 years. So we see this part of the math, a day is like 1,000 years and 1,000 years is like a day, as functioning. During that 6,000 years, what period of time would God never destroy the planet? He could, and he thought about it. He thought about it with Noah. He said, I'll destroy this planet, all these terrible people, I'll get rid of them. What was the one time that he couldn't? Well, he couldn't when his son was here. He was not going to bring judgment on this earth. He could have brought judgment at any time, but he didn't. There was a period of time where Jesus was here for 30 years before he received the Holy Spirit, where one could say, I don't like treading on this ground very much, because you're talking about God Almighty, and it is a fearful thing to talk about God Almighty. But during that period of time from his birth until the dove landed on his shoulders, he was not supernatural. He was a man. He became supernatural with the ability to heal people and walk on water, and all the things that he did. He was able to do that only after the dove landed on him. As soon as the dove landed on him, he went out into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. Again, it's a fearful thing to attempt, because there's groups of people who try to call Jesus nothing but a prophet. So that's a fearful thing. He's God Almighty. God Almighty. But there was a period of time for 30 years that's taken out of this equation. So we wind up with 28 and a half years, because we had to give back, or God gave back the year and a half for Moses and for Noah, and for this 6 months move. So 28 and a half years. What do we wind up with? 6,000. We wind up with 6,000 in 28 and a half years. We wind up with March 16th. Let me zoom in a little bit because I keep talking. I can barely see it, so I can only imagine. All right. We wind up here on March 16th, 2025. What does that mean? That means that on September of 4003, you add those 3 plus the 6 months to get there to this 2025, you wind up with, where's it at? Right here. You wind up with September of 2028, or you wind up with 28 and a half years. And that's the 28 and a half years here. Now, again, I said this a second ago and I got off track. 70 years, 80 years by reason of strength. When you do the math from when Joshua enters Israel, we find out that it's 1406 BC, or 25. Now remember the 0 year. You see this years here is 28 and a half years. We see Jesus was 12 and a half when he entered the temple, but we have 13 and a half years here because on one side of it, we take the zero out. On the other side of it, it's difficult. So we wind up with a 1 year variance. So 2598 or 2597 by reason of the 0 year down here, when you calculate from right here and you calculate it by 49, you don't calculate it by 50. We've never, a Jubilee simply is not 50, it's 49. We go by 49s and we see, oops, let go. And we see that 70 times 49 is 3,430 years, which is 1406 and 2025. It brings you back to 1406 BC. If it is 1406 BC, which most people that have researched this conclude that that is correct, I have as well, because when I take 4003 and I deduct 2598, I land on 1406, 1405, depending on this 0 year right here. And we go 70 years. But then I said, well, that's not exactly what the passage said. The passage also said that by reason of strength, 80. What happens when we go back 10 more Jubilees? Well, I did the math on both sides, 10 or 11, because I'm not quite sure what happened during Abraham's life when he was 111 years old in the year 2059, or what happened in Abraham's life when the year was 2108. Both of these, by the way, this should be written up here with this one because they're both operating on this timeline up here, the from creation. When he was 160, remember he lived to be 175, so this is 15 years before his death. Something happened in Abraham's life to make it 10 times 49, which would be the 70-year Shemitah cycle, and then the 10, 70 or 80 by reason of strength. That's the only thing I could find to apply that to. It doesn't fit anywhere else. It simply doesn't fit. If you're trying to use 70, 80 to use it to Israel, 1948, you're done in the year 2018, and then another 7 years would be over with, right? Is that right? 1948 plus 80 would be 2028 or something like that. It would be done with. So it just doesn't match anymore. We held on to that for years. As a matter of fact, we held on to 50 as being the Jubilee cycle for so long, I kept accidentally doing the math in here and messing myself up. And then, of course, so we have that. We have from creation, we have a total of 123 Jubilee cycles, which adds up exactly to the year 2025 AD. So it is 2025 AD when the rapture will happen. Is it March 16th on the day of equal parts? I think so. I don't know why God would put that one date in something so easily and readily found by everybody and then just ignore it and use the moon. I can't fathom that personally. And then when I go the 7 years to the end of the tribulation on September the 24th in 2032, I count back the 2,000 years. I find out the date that Paul was stopped on the Damascus Road. He was stopped on September the 24th in 32 AD. Now, Jesus had to come in the fourth day. He came exactly on the fourth day. It couldn't have been any other time. Because creation could only happen in 4003, and mathematically, when you do the math from 4003, you deduct this date, you wind up with 1406, and you just keep going. You take this, you deduct that, and you wind up with this number down here. You can figure out when all of these events took place, but you can only start in 4003 BC. But when you start in 4003 BC, that would mean Jesus was born on September 30th of 3 BC. No other date would fit. Jesus was here for 33 and a half years total. He went to the cross on March 30th, September 30th, exactly 6 months out, 33 and a half years on Passover, Nisan 14 in 30 AD. People are trying to count from 30 AD and use 30 AD to say, well, let's shorten the tribulation to 5 years now because we've already eaten up. No, tribulation is 7 years. Tribulation is 7 years. You can't shorten it. It doesn't work like that. Look, if what we understand, you've just heard a bunch of math that we all understood one way, but mathematically won't work anymore. But we found another way that it actually works. If we've discovered that the rapture is going to occur in 2025 on March 16th, begin doing your math from there. If you do your math from there, we have a and here's the problem: the tribulation is not going to begin for uh, 6 months. Or let's see here, is it September 24th, March? There we go. 6 months and 10. I was on the wrong line. 6 months and 10 days. The tribulation won't begin for 6 months and 10 days. I am not sure what these 10 days represent here, because the Jubilee is sounded here. We already heard the trumpets being blown here. In the 49th year, trumpets were blown for the Jubilee to begin here on March 16th at sunset, March 17th of 2025. That's when trumpets were blown. We get here, we see a rapture, but we have and it happens every year. It's not something that only happens during the Jubilee cycle. The 6 months and 10 days, day of equal parts, always happens exactly every single year on the same day. It doesn't budge. By seconds, it budges every single year, unlike the equinox, which budges 6 hours every year and changes dates. The equinox does not. So here's what I think. And this is what I said in the last video. This is just me thinking out loud. This is not uh, biblical, although it does fit. I think that seals are going to begin here. I think that, and Sister Sandy made a comment which actually made sense to me. She said, with Joshua crossing over into Israel, how is that an ideal for a rapture? What does that actually have to do with the Gentile nation? That's Joshua entering into Israel. And I said, you know what? You're right. That means that something has to happen here where there's a period of time where God diverts his attention back to the Jews. I don't think that the great multitude are going to be here during the trumpets and the bowls. I think that God diverts his attention back to Israel for 7 years. I'm seeing, and I keep seeing this, a 7 year, 6 month, and 10 day tribulation. I think the 6 seals begin to open here. We can go read that here in a moment. The 6 seals begin to open here, and that lasts throughout all this. The last person to be saved, to be brought up into heaven, will be brought up there on September the 24th of 2025. Then the tribulation, these people that are being brought out are being brought out from great tribulation. I'd like a definition on that. If anybody can go in, read that, and give a definition of that. Does that mean that they were in the Great Tribulation, or are they being brought out just prior to the tribulation? I think they're being brought out just prior to the Great Tribulation. The Great Tribulation will begin here at trumpets. We've always said, well, seals and trumpets kind of all open at the same time, and then halfway through, right about here, is where bowls begin. So trumpets, but the problem is you have to deal with the 6 seals, and no, they aren't on top of each other, because the seventh seal is the seventh. Yeah, the seventh seal opens the 7 trumpets, and the 7 trumpets go off. Whoa, whoa, whoa! And then we have Apophis. We have the bowl judgments coming. I don't think the only people protected at this point are the Jews. Those are the only people protected. The rest of the planet, whoever hasn't knelt down and said, this is real, this is actually happening. And that's everybody you ever said, when you see me go. If everybody knows when you see me go, then that's it. Heather R. is great. She is. Heather R. is great. I believe Mesa times a day. The 7th week will begin. So that would be, and she might be right. I believe she might be right, but Nissan 10 would be March 26th. It would start right here, and that would be those 10 days. 10 days after March 16th is Nissan 10, the triumphant entry. And they did enter in spring. We read that they entered in spring. So what if this is my scenario, and it could be wrong. What if we are changed and walk around for 3 days changed, warning everybody? That's where the great multitude comes from. They see us changed. And then we're taken somewhere and held for 7 days. We know that's a fact because Noah was held in the ark for 7 days. Jesus was in heaven for 7 days prior to doing the wave sheaf offering. I know people say that he rose, he spent the day with them, and then he went up to heaven to do the wave sheaf offering. He did not. He had to wait 7 days. Those are his laws. Not those are the laws he set up to help us count time properly. No, he did the wave sheaf offering the morning he came back to see Thomas in the upper room. It was a Sunday, and then the Sabbath after you will count. Um, the 49 days, even unto the morrow after 50 days, you will count, and you will wind up at Shavuot, the day Jesus ascended. And then 7 days after that is the day of Pentecost. So I know people shorten that by 7 days, but it's actually 60 days from the cross, if I remember correctly. Let me come back here just to make sure before I speak on that subject too much. We'll go to this one, the original one. We see here, let's see here. Jesus goes to the cross. Jesus rises, and yeah, he goes to the cross here on March 30th, right here. He goes, we go 30 days to second Passover and 30 days to Shavuot, which is Jesus' Ascension Day. How does it count? Jesus died here. He rose here. He went to heaven and hung out for 7 days. I think that's these 10 days I'm talking about. I think these are the 10 days. While he went to Hades, he was changed. He was in Hades. He was given his new glorified body. And he comes out of the grave and he goes to heaven where he sits for 7 days. He sits there until Sunday. This is also a Sunday. At the end of the day, he comes to Thomas in the upper room. Then what happens? You count from that moment right here. This is the Shavuot count. From the moment he did the wave sheaf offering, from the Sabbath after, this is Sunday, the Sabbath after will be in 7 days. You will count these days and you will land on the day that Moses ascended into the mountain and Jesus ascended. The Pentecost count is a separate count. You will find it in Leviticus. It says that from the from first fruits, you will count from first fruits. From the Sabbath after, well, first fruits was on a Sunday, and the Sabbath after is 7 days and then 50. And you'll wind up at the same day. But when you're counting to the Pentecost, you will be counting an extra 7 days. All right, so this is what I think is applying to us, though 3 and 7, 10 days. I think that's applying to us. I think we'll be changed. And I think we'll hang out somewhere, I don't know where, for 7 days. And I think we will be taken into heaven on how do you call the triumphant entry. I think that's when we go to heaven. Sister Sandy laid all this out from Leviticus, and she put it all together, showing the 6th year. This is the year prior to the 49th year. This would technically be the 48th year. Bring forth the God would bless them. They never trusted God. They wouldn't. Oh, it says right here, 48th year. They never trusted God to bring a 3-year bounty to them. They just kept on planting because they just didn't trust him. They never have. That's why the Jews will be in the trouble they're in, but God will still protect them during the tribulation. 48th year. The 49th year, this is the end or the beginning and end of the Shemitah cycle. This will start, the very end of the 49th year will start the Jubilee. Okay, so 7 years, this is a rest year. You may not reap or sow in the 49th year. In the Jubilee, you can sow, you can sign contracts, but you cannot take on, you can't sow, you can't benefit from any of those contracts until the end of the Jubilee, which is why I think we're going at the very beginning of it on March 16th at sunset, becoming the 17th. All right. Some math again. We find this math if it's March 16th. And we did this from the blood moon. We did this from Israel being invaded, a total of 1173 days. I think the temple will finally be built on January 25th of 2026, which 1111. There's a question mark there. Is it January 25th, the Shabbat 11? I think that's Shabbat 1111. That's why it's 1111. All right, very quickly, I still have this issue with people and the new moon. I'm going to show you an example here of where the Bible, when it sees the word new, they did this, but they weren't consistent. But they did this. When they saw When they saw just moon, they put Yarich. But when they saw the word new in front of the word month, they put 2327, which means month. It doesn't mean moon. But every time they saw the word new, they just wrote the word moon here instead of month. And I'm going to show you an example of how they did not stick to their own understanding of this. As you can see, 2318 means Chodesh. It means month. It's translated month 254 times. But when the word appears new, they add the word moon. And they did that 20 times. I just showed you one example of that. Now, here we have an example of in the beginning of your months, ye shall offer a burnt offering. This is why the Jews will never know when Jesus is coming. They didn't know it last time. They don't know it this time because it's super clear here that you will sacrifice every time you have a beginning of your months. When's the beginning of your months? Well, it's Nisan 1. This will happen every year on March 17th. I guarantee that they have missed this every single year for the past 2,000 years. They have never, 3,000 years, they've never done this, ever. But it says right here that they shall do this in the beginning of their months. It says it in Numbers, it's the Old Testament, but they never knew when the beginning of their month was because they were using the moon prior to that. Now, here we have a sample of, and in the beginning of your months. The beginning of the month of your months, the word new isn't there, but we still see that it means Chodesh. Still means Chodesh. Why is this example of the word where it's translated as Chodesh and it's talking about a new month or the new month of months, which is Nisan? Why is it translated as month correctly, just prior to this right here, as month? Yet whenever they see the word new in front of the word month, they change the word month to moon. I don't know. I've struggled with this as to understand why they do it. And then, of course, I have the example. He appointed the moon for seasons. Somebody sent me this. You see, the moon is for seasons. It is, but it is not for the day of the head of the year. It has nothing to do with the day of the head of the year. The word new is not here, but let's see what the moon translates to. The moon always translates to Yarich or Selene. Selene, if I recall, is used 10 times. Yarich, when God is talking about the actual moon, occurs 26 times. So that would be 36 times that Yarich or Selene is used, and it is actually discussing the physical moon that we see out there. I did all of this math as I was trying to figure all this out. 2025, and then you have 1406 BC, but because of the 0 year, it's 1405. That brings us to 3430, and when you divide that by 49, it brings you to the 70 Jubilee cycles. Remember, a Jubilee cycle is 49 years. It is not 50. Mathematically, if you insist that it is 50, then I think you have another 70 years to wait for the rapture. I don't think you want to. Excuse me. Hold on, I don't know where that cough came from. Sorry. I rarely lose my voice. I've heard people lose their voice, but I rarely have. This guy right here, from Games to God, please go subscribe to him. He approaches 2025 in a completely different way. It's amazing math that he does. Love his channel, and he's very articulate. And he just put up a whole bunch of videos. The earthquakes going off again. A lot of earthquakes are happening. A lot of earthquakes 5.0 and above. It's quite incredible. All right, so from Games to God, what an amazing channel. All right, and then I get this from somebody. So I don't mind coming on. I'm kind of not a public person. Like speaking out in public in front of people would probably be difficult for me. Um, so I come on here out of my comfort zone, and I do this. I want to share things that I've learned with you. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. The one thing I'm trying to convince you of is how simple it is to accept the Lord and go to heaven. That's literally what this is all about. And I'm hoping that some of you who are into timelines and love to see how this stuff falls and say, wait a second, are you serious? From the time Joshua crossed over until March of 2025, it's exactly 70 Jubilee cycles. That's amazing. God is numerical. I think, and there's a lot of people who have become saved by virtue of, who are numerical and calendrical. They have become saved by virtue of that. I will never go and say, hey, you have to believe the way I do. If you don't see this timeline, you're not saved. That's ridiculous. And I won't, I will never sow a little bit of leaven into anything I do. So your salvation is from Jesus and Jesus alone. There's nothing I can do to help you. I can only tell you about it. The decision is yours. You have free will. It is not predestined that you will do it. God simply knew that you were because he knows all things. There's nothing that escapes God. He knows everything. So I get this comment. This comes from a person who obviously did not watch my video. The temple cannot be rebuilt in Gaza, only Jerusalem. This guy is nuts. Like, dude, are you serious? I wanted to put him on blast because this is it. And I gave him a heart too, because I'm just like, please stop and don't embarrass yourself and make dumb comments without actually watching the video. Nobody's building a temple in Gaza. Who? No, I never said that. I never even thought that. That thought never even crossed my mind. All I said was the reason they're not going to build a temple is because these crazy people in Gaza called Hamas is going to go to war with them if they attempt it. But if Trump takes over Gaza, guess what? The temple is one step closer to being built in Jerusalem, which is kind of what they're all looking forward to. I'm not. We're not going to see it. We won't be here. So, yeah, I think you're nuts for not reading or listening to the video. Come on, fella. Take some time. That's the 556 days. Let me see here what I got going on. All right. This is the last picture right here. Now, of the amount of people professing to be Christian, out of that amount of people, let me fix this here real quick. About 3% of people are actually going to go in this rapture of professing Christians. There are Christians around the world that are hidden. You don't even know about them. They're in the Muslim communities, they're in the Asian communities. We don't even know about them. So when we read, let me shift over to Revelation. What did I do? Oh, whew, thought I did something wrong. Let me shift here over into Revelation. Right here. I want to go through this real quick with everyone, and then I want to go into questions from everyone after that. So get your questions ready. All right, we're going to read here. Let me get rid of that ad. I don't pay for the app, so. All right, this is Revelation 4. I guess let me look at see what everybody's saying so far. All right. Yeah, God is very numerical. Someone on blast. I don't even understand. Like, could you at least watch the video before you say something that dumb? Who said that they were going to build a temple in Gaza? I never said that. The thought, even when I made the thing, I just could not comprehend where you gathered that he was going to build a temple in Gaza. No, once he takes over Gaza, Hamas won't stop him. So take time at least before you criticize a video to listen to the whole thing. There's nothing worse than somebody, I hear him all the time. I listened to 5 minutes of his video. I couldn't handle it anymore. He said one dumb thing, so his whole video is trash. That's ridiculous. I think that the fact of the matter is that we're all on here trying to tell you the only way is through Jesus, that you can't get to heaven except by Jesus, right? That's the only way. And so everything else is icing on the cake. All of this stuff is just proof that we're right on the track of understanding all of this stuff. And it's really coming in exponentially here lately. It's really coming in. Mark Allison, 88, wonderful channel. Love that guy and his enthusiasm. You know, from Games to God, Brett from God's Down Under, David the Watchman. I could tell you stories about each one of them, but I would be fearful of things that like how David the watchman was before, that you might not go there just by judging based on what I say. And I don't want that. I want you to go there and listen to his testimony. I would say that every single one of these people bring a piece of the puzzle to the table. And the one piece, the most important piece of that puzzle, you ever saw that puzzle where the dad took it all apart and said, here, reassemble the United States together in this puzzle and we'll get somewhere. She comes back in 5 minutes and he says, how did you do that so quick? And she turned it over and said on the other side of the puzzle was a picture of Jesus and it was really easy to assemble. That's the point. The piece of the puzzle that we're looking at is us trying to understand. But on the other side, it's Jesus. It's all Jesus. It's that simple. We're all saved by Jesus. We're all saved by grace. Don't sow any leaven into your teaching, please, because it's all about grace. It's all about Jesus and everything else here. I won't get upset if you tell me, um, anything, but at least if you're going to critique the video, at least listen to it before you say something. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. I just got back. What did I miss? When did Reaper Man say the rapture could be? That's how I started the video. The rapture, I think, is going to be on March 16th of 2025. I think we are about 29 days away from it personally, and I think the earthquakes are going to be in a huge uptick from there. Now, Sister Sandy, who's also been working on the graph timeline, is seeing March 26th, which is the triumphant entry. It is 10 days later. That is also a possibility. I'm leaning more towards March 16th. She's leaning more towards March 26th. Therefore, I'm right. She's wrong, so she must be unsaved. I'm kidding. Sorry about that, Sister Sandy. She's completely saved because she's watching and she's trying to figure this out. And she loves the Lord. And she's doing this because she just wants to know. And so to listen to somebody's video or take 5 seconds out of somebody's video and judge the entire video and not listen to the actual message, I can tell you from listening to all of these people, even if they don't believe in a pre-tribulational rapture, they believe in a flat earth, they believe in and all this other stuff that I don't believe in. All I have to hear them say is Jesus Christ is God Almighty and salvation is of the Lord. And that's it. He did it all. I have free will to accept it. He put everything in a cup and all I have to do is take that cup and drink it. That's how simple it is. Not, well, he believes the earth is flat, so he's not saved. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Not written anywhere in the Bible. You believe in Jesus, take this cup and drink it, and now you know everything that you drank that cup, and now you know the earth is not flat. Now you know that rapture's on March 16th. Dumb. And literally ignorant people say that. They sow a lot of works into their teaching, and that is wrong, as you can imagine. I don't know. I don't know. There's some reason why Jesus couldn't perform the wave sheaf offering for 7 days after he rose. He rose on a Sunday. He spent the day with the apostles. He disappears. The next time we see him is when he returns to Thomas in the upper room 7 days later. On that seventh day is the day he does the wave sheaf offering in the morning and he returns to Thomas in the upper room. He is in a glorified body because he passes through a wall. So to me, he had to stay somewhere for 7 days. I don't know where that was. Did he go to the top of Mount Sinai and sit there for 7 days and then go to heaven? Because the Leviticus is abundantly clear that you can't. Mary and Martha were unclean because they visited a gravesite. They buried their brother Lazarus. They were unclean for 7 days. That's Levitical law. So he came out of a grave. He couldn't go in the presence. He didn't set that up to limit himself. He set that up to prove the times of when they happened. He could not go into the mercy seat and perform the wave sheaf offering on that day. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, Sister Sandy, March 16th. I'm right. You're wrong. Just kidding. She works so hard on that stuff. I'm just kidding, Sister Sandy. Don't get mad at me. I don't even know what time it is in New Zealand while she's working on this stuff. I know last night it's like midnight and I'm texting her. She's texting me. I'm like, because she's trying to make the timeline make sense to me. And at first it didn't. I was trying to work it out. And then I sent her some stuff, and she's a trooper. She's been working on this for me and working on her her Jubilee timeline, which is incredible. All right, so let's read this. Here we are. I don't see a lot of questions. I just want to clarify. If you don't, okay, this is what I wanted to clarify. Sorry, I squirrel a lot. This is what I want to clarify. I want to clarify that you don't have to know any of this stuff. I want to clarify if you say, I just want to know the date because I don't understand any of this stuff. I will not berate you for that. I will not discount you. That would be horrible. Just because I understand this stuff and it's clear as a bell to me doesn't mean you have to. You hold a different piece of the puzzle. You are every bit as important as anyone else. Don't let anybody berate you into saying, you're just here for a date and you don't want to do any of the research. You know what? Some of this stuff is glassy-eyed, mind-blowing stuff that I don't understand. And I've been studying for a long time. But there's some stuff that comes out that's crazy. That's insane how they line up. And I'm just like the stellar stuff up in the sky, the Mazzaroth. I can't even like the Tabernacle. Is it Tabernacle of the Bride? I can't remember his channel. Amazing, absolutely amazing what he puts up there and how it lines up. I'm thoroughly impressed by literally over 300 people who make videos, and some of it, no, I don't understand it. I don't see those kinds of things, but I know you do because God's revealing it to you in His own personal way, and that's very, very important. You know, it's breakfast time right now, 8 a.m. It's 8 a.m. in New Zealand. She's been having some earthquakes over there. So, Valley watches over Christ. Yeah, I enjoy the skies of peace. Okay, so at any rate, um, my point. Yeah, it's March 16th, 2026, or March 26th. Did I say 26th? 2025. Sorry about that. Everybody just dropped their phones. March 16th of 2025 or March 26th of 2025, just 10 days later. Um, that's the date. And no, you don't have to understand all of this stuff to to hear that and say I'm only here for the date because I won't berate you because that's fine if you don't understand this. That's not a question on your salvation or the Holy Spirit's enlightenment to you. When you start saying that type of stuff, you are sowing leaven into it. You're sowing works into it. And there's one basic simple thing, and that is Jesus saves, and that's it, and that's all. That's how Aaron says it. That's it, and that's all. He understands that. I understand that. So I respect Aaron at God a Minute so much because that's what he says. That's it, and that's all. It's as that simple. Don't bring all of your works into this that it has to be so difficult. And let's read Revelation 4 together. After this, I looked, and behold, let me take off my glasses and get farther away. And behold, the door was opened in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was, as it were, of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither. When does John show up in heaven? He shows up after us. When does the door in heaven shut? It will not shut until the great multitude appears in heaven. When does the great multitude appear in heaven? We see that happen here. I'm going to read it in Seal 6. It's pretty amazing. John appears there after we're already there. The rapture has already occurred. We are the 24 elders, and it's easy to prove. There is a number in here that talks about, and it talks about every tribe, every nation, and that group, that number is 100. We believe, or I believe, it's somewhere between 100 and 200 million. I think it's about 153 million, which represents about 3% of the Christian professing planet. Now, there's a lot of people who profess to be Christians that actually are that wouldn't do that in a how do you call it, in a survey. They wouldn't do that. And there's other people who claim to be Christian that simply aren't. They just aren't. They're just bad people. They have not accepted the simple work of Jesus Christ. They brought their works to it. So let me keep going. And immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, the throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne, and he was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats, and upon the seats I saw 24 elders, clothed in white raiment, raiment, sorry, and they had their heads on their heads crowns of gold. So the 24 elders is a number like a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. That's the same number. These 24 is representative of everybody who will be raptured. Now, this group here, these are kings and priests. These people are not the children. They are not the people who don't have the faculties to make a good choice. The people that don't, there's no reason for them to go through tribulation. They don't have the faculties to even understand what's happening. God takes them out of here. That number is not counted of the kings and priests. So, worship of the Creator, and we see the worship of the Creator going on here. Let me proceed forward to Revelation 5. And let me get rid of the ad. Okay. Now, here's the book with the seven seals. This is Revelation 5:1. And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with seven seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof. And no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither look thereon. How did they know that they weren't able to open the book if they couldn't even look at it? That's how precious these seals are. What happens in these seals? God saves a great multitude. The great multitude is a very, very important group of people. They are the rest. And I've heard this by many people. They're not the body. Yes, they are. We are the head of Christ. We get crowns. We're up there. We're the head of Christ. But the body of Christ is the great multitude. They are as important. Now, they are the servants. They do not get crowns, mansions, rod of iron. They come to heaven. They have washed their robes white, and they are given palm branches. But guess what? They're going to be crying because they're not going to hell. What's left on the planet are Gentiles and Jews. Gentiles that there is no further salvation for, and Jews who have to avoid the mark of the beast. I don't think the mark of the beast could ever be offered to the great multitude. We see them in heaven in seal 6 before the seventh seal is open, opening up the seven trumpets, beginning the great tribulation. It's in order. The seals, if the seals weren't, it doesn't matter what order you put the seals in, it doesn't matter. What happens in the seventh seal is the seven trumpets are open. You can't have a trumpet before the seals. And you can't say, well, I opened the seventh seal first and began the trumpets. No, it's not how it works. The sixth seal opens the seven trumpets. And I saw in his right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backsides. Oh, I already read that. Thereon, and I wept much because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. Let's continue. We continue to read and we find out, and one of the elders, that's us, we're one of the elders, saith unto me, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the seals, the seven seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the four beasts, and in the midst of the elders, that's us, stood a lamb, as it had been slain. We're the head. We are the head with Christ. We have crowns. We are the elders. We are there first. We are the elders. And we, as seven spirits of God, set forth unto all the earth. He came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. Jesus takes the book from the hand of God. And when he had taken the book, the four beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. We will be so happy. It's like us walking around up there with just our head and a crown on it without our body. Yes, we'll have a glorified body. That's not what I'm saying. We won't have any. Like a ruler is not a ruler unless he has somebody to rule. You don't kill all of your subjects. You have nobody to rule. So we're waiting for the rest of the body of Christ, the rest of the military to show up. All right. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, and every one of them harps, golden vials, and full of odors, and the prayers of the saints. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain. Who cares that he was slain? Do the angels care? No. I mean, they do, but not like we do, because if he hadn't been slain, we wouldn't have a chance. And has redeemed us. Who is redeemed? The 153 million, or the somewhere between 100 million and 200 million. These people were redeemed. Were the angels redeemed? No, they weren't redeemed. Were the four beasts even redeemed? I don't know. They are counted alongside the elders quite a bit, but the 24 elders were definitely redeemed. Thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to God by the blood of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. Where do they come from? All over the planet. They're not all of one language. A lot of people will say, well, America's going to be empty because it's mostly Christian. And I say, probably not. I think that America is full of a bunch of workers of their salvation and believe somehow that they've contributed or they're smarter than everyone else and they will sow works into what they do. Always, you'll always see them sowing works into what they do. And has redeemed us to God by the blood of every kindred, tongues, people, and nation. That's everybody. That's China. That's New Zealand. That's Africa. That's a Christian found everywhere, all around the planet, and has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on earth. Notice that we shall reign on earth. I hope I find the part where it says the others will serve. The Lamb exalted. And I beheld and heard a voice of many angels round about the throne and the beasts and the elders, and the number of them, how many are there that are there? People take this number and they say, well, the angels are counted. The angels were not redeemed. The angels are not made kings and priests. Only we are. This number is speaking specifically to the bride, to the head, those who rule and reign with Christ. This is how many there are. The Bible tells us how many people there are. This is not including the children and the people who don't have the faculties to make this decision. God takes them and they go to heaven. I've heard people have dreams that there are nurseries in heaven with babies stacked all along. I had a dream once that babies were lying on clouds and being nourished by the cloud, and there were crying. They were all cooing and happy, and there was no like screaming or in pain. There was no pain. They were just happy babies growing, and they will grow until they're the age of accountability. And I don't know what happens after that. Do they go to the millennium so they have to make a clear choice? If you don't have the mental faculties to make a good choice, are you fixed in heaven and then go to the millennium to make a good choice? I don't know how that works. I really don't know how that works. So, and I beheld, again, let me read it. And I beheld, and I heard a voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beasts and the elders. We heard the angels round about the throne, but the beasts, and again, I say the beasts must be counted amongst the elders. And the beasts, they're our leaders. That's all there is to it. And I think the 24 elders are the patriarchs and the Old Testament, the Old Testament patriarchs and the 12 children of Jacob. I think that's who they are. And I think we all fall under this group. I probably personally will fall under the group that Enoch is in, seventh from Adam, because I have so much respect for what he has done with time and what I see that he understood. I kind of relate to that, but we'll see when we get there. Saying and I'll tell you, you're going to be placed perfectly where you belong. You're going to be so happy to be placed perfectly where you belong. If you are a brain surgeon, for example, we won't be doing brain surgery in heaven, but if you were a brain surgeon, you wouldn't get to heaven to be a truck driver. If you were a truck driver and you absolutely love driving all over the place, you're not going to get to heaven and become a brain surgeon. It's just not, you're going to fall into your category. Mine will be numbers and timelines. I absolutely love that type of stuff. But if it actually isn't, God knows something better for me, hey, I'll accept that. Whatever God knows, he knows me better than I know myself. So, and I beheld, and I heard a voice of many angels round about the throne. Stop. I asked Spinebreaker if the word "and" is actually in there, and it is. But I think that the voices are about the angels, but I know that the number, they were not redeemed. Just above that, you see that this group of people are from every kindred tongue, and they were redeemed, and they were made kings and priests. So this number is speaking specifically to that group of people. And the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands and thousands. And the actual translation says myriads of thousands. But it is less than 200. I'm sorry, it's less than 20 times 20,000 times 20,000 because that would be 200 million. But 10,000 times 10,000 is 100 million. So it's somewhere in the middle. It's either 144 million or 153 million, representing the fish, which I'm leaning more towards myself because 144,000, they're an exact group of people. They are Jewish people that were killed for the word of God. Those are all the babies that died. The world has been full of dead babies, babies being murdered and aborted and all that other stuff. But there's a specific special group of babies that died for the word of God. And those are the babies that King Herod killed, trying to get to Jesus to kill him. Satan was after him, trying to kill him. It is now raining, so it's going to be a little bit loud in here, and I apologize. Wow, it's sunny outside. That's a big cloud. Hold on, can everybody hear me just fine? I haven't looked at the chat for a moment. Can everybody hear me just fine, even though it's raining? Wow. Nothing is going to save you except, yes, nothing will save you except knowing the truth that the Lord Jesus' blood is the only way to be saved, period, plus nothing. No timeline, no perfect biblical research, no belonging to my posse or my group of people. That is not going to save. My posse is being enlightened by God above all other 8 billion people on the planet. Baloney. You're here. I'm glad you're here. I'm hoping you're learning something. You're not saved by anything I say. You're saved by the blood of Christ and the blood of Christ alone. I don't have a posse. I don't have a crew. I don't have any of that. I'm just a guy sitting here talking about the stuff I love to talk about the most. So, all right, you're good. Okay, that means that the rain's gone and it's sunny again. Welcome to Florida. All right, so let's continue reading. How many are they? And I stump people. I only repeat this because I know I'm going to get a comment. They're going to stop the video right where I said that. What about all the babies? They are not kings and they are not priests, but they are cleared out of here because they are not a part of the punishment. So the children will be taken out of here. The people without the proper faculties to deal with what's about to happen will be taken out of here. What's the point of the next 6 months before the sixth seal is open? To drive you to your knees, to make you realize you missed something. You're going to be hungry because the first 4 horses are quite incredible. You're going to be hungry, you're going to be thirsty, and I'm going to show you where it says that you will be hungry, you will be thirsty, you're going to show up in heaven crying because you will have died here, and you will show up in heaven, and that completion will happen in the sixth seal. It doesn't discuss it at any point after that, except for the 144,000 showing up in heaven, which are the virgin Jewish males that died for the word of God. So let me keep reading. Saying with a loud voice, "Worthy is the Lamb, was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. And every creature which is in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I say, blessing and honor and glory and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne and unto the Lamb forever and ever." And the 4 beasts said, Amen. And the 24 elders fell down as worshipped him that lived forever and ever. Cool, right? We see that now. We understand that, I hope. Let me close this ad and let me go down. Revelation 6. Why do I think the seals are going to be opened up relatively quickly? They're not going to take 3.5 years. I don't think they're going to take 3.5 years. Aside from the verse that says, and these are those that came out of great tribulation, that stumps me a little bit, but I want to know if anybody's done the research on that, come out of, and it might mean just prior to the Great Tribulation beginning. And the Great Tribulation will begin when trumpets go off. That's Great Tribulation. We've always assigned it to the second half, but I don't think so. I don't think so. All right. We see the first seal, the white horse rider. And what does this seal do? He has a bow and a crown was given to him. I heard some really good discussions back and forth on who this is. This must be the Antichrist. Number one, a crown was given to him, which means the Jews are looking for their Messiah, and they will, after we leave, we are already gone. We have already left. The rapture has already occurred. We're now in Revelation 6. We're out of here. Now, what happens immediately after we leave? We see that Second Thessalonians. In Second Thessalonians, it says that the Antichrist will be revealed and they will see a great, they say falling away. They discuss it. They try to split that verse in half, saying, well, a half of it's the no, none of it. None of that Second Thessalonians is speaking to the rapture. It's only speaking to a group of people who were left behind that saw a rapture and they see the Antichrist rise. They see that. So, and I saw when the Lamb opened the seals, and I think once he rises, it's going to take him 6 months to get things rolling, where he gets the temple built by January of 2026, and he's got all of this stuff going on, and he's helping Israel defeat all of its enemies and all of this other stuff. So this first seal, white horse rider, is the Antichrist. And again, I've heard discussions back and forth on both sides. This has to be Jesus. Jesus is riding all four horses. No, this is the bad stuff that's about to happen. The second seal, war. Open the second seal. Whoops. I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." See how quickly these seals are being opened. There, John is standing there. The rapture has just occurred. He has just witnessed these people throwing back their crowns to Jesus. He's just witnessed all of this stuff going on. He shows up. He's witnessed the Lamb taking the scroll, opening the seals, and now the seals are being opened. Jesus is opening the seals. He's not the seals. He's opening the seals. The second seal is war. The third seal is famine. And the fourth seal is, drum roll, death. You have to die to get into heaven. The martyrs, these people died for the word of God over the last 2,000 years. They died for the word of God during this 6 month part of the seals being opened. And they are in heaven complaining, hey, what's going on? When do we get our new bodies? And he said, hold on, just hang on for a little while. And then the sixth seal happens. I don't know when they're getting their new bodies. Is it going to be at the end when everybody's raised at the end of 7 years? I'm not sure when that's going to happen. I don't want to speak on that definitively because I don't know. Now, here comes the sixth seal. I want you to notice what we're seeing here in the sixth seal. What we're seeing here is terror. There's blood. There's a blood moon. The moon becomes this blood. The stars fall from the sky. All this stuff is going on, which you know is just ravishing the earth. It's the sixth seal. But look what happens when we continue on in the sixth seal. Whoops. Sorry. Close that. Close that. Okay. As we go on in the sixth seal, and I think that John is representative of the 144,000, and Mark is the representative of the left behind Christians, and Matthew is representative of the Jews. So that's why we see in Mark and we see in John, they see a purple robe. The Jew in Matthew sees a red robe, and we see a spotless white robe because we're taken before all this stuff happens. God's people will be preserved. And after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners, holding the four winds of the earth. Why are we seeing any kind of restraint going on? I thought that the restrainer left with the bride. The restrainer's gone, and then people start saying, well, great multitude saved, so what's the restrainer's point? What's his purpose? The answer to that question is the restrainer restrains until everyone shows up in heaven, until the entire body is in heaven. Whoever is left are unsaved. Could they become saved after that point? Maybe. It kind of says that they hid themselves and they didn't accept the mark, that by default they would wind up in the millennium. They could still die, but by default end up there. I don't know. Later, here from the beginning. Oh, okay. All right, we'll see ya. Now, I'm trying not to squirrel on the comments, but I also want to make sure that everything's functioning right. Now, after these things, now that there's some restrainings going on. Why are things being restrained? I almost think that seal 6 is written backwards, because what we saw at the beginning of seal 6 was all this destruction. What we see at the end of seal 6, sorry, let me go down here to seal, oops, go down here to seal 6. Terror. We see terror, right? But then we see here, still in seal 6, hold on. We still see here in seal 6 restraining. Why is it restraining? Because the 144,000 have to be sealed. I almost think that seal 6 was written, the 144,000 are sealed, the restraining happens, the 144,000 are sealed, and then all of this terrible stuff happens. A great multitude of people die, but they've accepted Christ. They've seen things coming down on the earth. They've knelt down and said, Jesus, I missed the rapture. I heard about this, and now I just need you to save me, because without you I have no hope. They show up. They are part of the great multitude. So we know the 144,000 are sealed in seal 6. Still in seal 6. We haven't seen seal 7 yet. And we know that these people were children that died from the tribe of Israel back when Jesus was born. 144,000 of them, and they are sealed. Praise from the great multitude. Who are these people? When do they show up in heaven? They show up in the sixth seal. If we say that the seven seals or six seals are for the first 3.5 years, that means you're combining the last 3.5 years with trumpets and bowls, and it's not symmetrical. Don't think that trumpets and bowls will happen in the last 3.5 years. I think we have 6 months of seals. That's the point of the 6 months, to get the great multitude, to remove the restrainer. The restrainer's still here, operating during these 6 months. And then, seventh seal, trumpets, 7 trumpets are open, and they begin through those 7 years. I'm sorry, 3.5 years. 7 seals, 3.5 years. And then in the midway, Satan goes in, and then we see the 2 witnesses there, the 144,000 are there, warning everybody that, hey, don't take this mark, and actually, the mark comes out after 3.5 years. It doesn't even come out in the first 3.5 years. And then we see at the 3.5 year mark, Satan go in, proclaim himself to be God, and then it really gets ugly. The bowls start to get opened at that point. So I do think that trumpets is for the first 3.5, bowls is for the last 3.5, and the 2 witnesses will be killed. And after 3 days or 84 hours, they will rise up to heaven, and then y'all on your own. Y'all are on your own after that, because the restrainer is gone, and God will be here to protect Israel. Anybody who had, I guess, I don't know how that functions. You would have to almost have the mindset of, I'm not receiving the mark because I know that it goes against God, as opposed to, I hid myself in a cave for 7 years and I had enough food. That's why I didn't get the mark. It almost sounds like by default you would make it in the millennium. I don't know how that functions. I guess we'll learn when we get to heaven how all this actually functions. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues. There's that same exact thing that was spoken of about the bride, the 153 million people. It's the same exact thing. It's the rest of the body. Stood before the throne, before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Well, this must be the same group as the first group we were just spoken of, only this is a great multitude that no man can count, because they have white robes. We have to keep reading. It's not over with yet. And cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne and about the elders. There's the elders. That's a separate group. They stood round about the throne, and they were around the elders. We elders fell within the 24 patriarchs. The 24 fell within the 4 beasts. It is a military appearing setup. You have the general, then you have the captains and lieutenants, and then behind that you have all of the infantry. This is the infantry showing up. They are the great multitude. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, This is one of us. We are one of the elders. What are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? And I said unto him, this is one of the elders asking John, and John's reply is, and I say unto him, Sir, thou knowest. He knows this person talking to him. He calls him Sir. He knows he's not an angel. He knows that this person is not Jesus. This is one of us. This is an elder right here. And thou knowest, hold on a second. Sorry. Hello? Hey? No, I'm doing a video. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm in a live, so I will go in there in a moment. All right. All right. Bye. All right. Okay. And I'm back. Let's see here. Did that mess anything up? Am I still live? Everything good? Short interruption. Let's see here, right here. All right. So now, where was I? So we know this is a person. It's not an angel. It is a person because it says, Sir. Sir, thou knowest, and he said unto me, These are they which came out of great tribulation and have washed their robes. You see that? They came out of great tribulation. This is where I would like a little research done. Did they come out prior to the great tribulation, or were they in the middle of the great tribulation? And can we call the opening of the seals the great tribulation, or can we only say great tribulation begins at trumpets and bowls? And if so, I think personally, this understanding would be they were rescued just prior to the seventh seal. It says it. It says they were taken in the sixth seal. There is no point here where they existed during the trumpets, because the trumpets don't happen until the seventh seal. So this must be understood as though they were taken out just prior to. So everybody can still hear me, right? Hopefully. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So you see what I'm saying? This is the catch that I have with this. This stumbles a lot of people. We would have to research this phrase. These are they which came out of great tribulation. I would say these are they which came out just prior to great tribulation. But I need to know, and I don't know how to study Greek and Hebrew. I need to know how this could be formatted to be understood that this happens before great tribulation. What did they do in seal 6 before seal 7, before trumpets and before bowls? What did they do during those 6 months? They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore are they before the throne of God and serve him. See that word serve? They are not given crowns, mansions, rod of iron, banquet. And they might be at a banquet. I think they do get a meal as well. I think we actually help serve. And but it says, serve him night and day. They are privates in the military. They're not upset. They're fine. They were rescued. They show up crying, and watch what happens here. Watch what happens right here. And serve him day and night in his temple, and he that sitteth on the throne. Ultimately, a private serves the president, right? Ultimately, the private serves the president, but he has a direct leader, and it goes up from there. So they shall hunger no more. There's a lot of people that will be raptured that are not hungry. This is a different group of people. This is a great multitude out of seal 6. This is not us. I keep hearing these people saying, "No, we're going to seal 6." You're categorically wrong. And I don't question your salvation. I just question your understanding. This group is not the same group. This group will be hungry. They will be thirsty. The sun will beat them down and the heat will burn them up. Just like it says with the four horsemen of the apocalypse, the four horsemen of the first four seals. That's what these people will go through. They will be killed. They will die for the word of God. They will not avoid the mark of the beast. The people, the Gentiles left on this planet after that are unsaved. We used to say the rapture is going to occur and then everybody else is done. No, this is strike two. You get a second chance to kneel down and accept the Lord. That's it. That's how it works. This is a great multitude, a completely different group of people, but they still come out of every tribe, every nation, every tongue. So they shall hunger no more. That's not us. There's plenty of people who are going to be raptured, fat and happy. I'm probably one of them. We will have eaten every single day. We will not be thirsty at all. Drinking my rapture water here. Ah, so they just simply will not be hungry or thirstier. It's not too hot. The sun's not beating down. So this group of people is actually going through the four seals, and they will be taken to heaven on the sixth seal. And I think it's kind of written backwards. I think they're taken, and then the 144,000 are sealed, and then we will see all these calamities take place from the four angels holding back the four winds, and the restrainer will be gone, and the people left here will be in desperate times because they had a second chance to accept the Lord, and they refused. God's only goal throughout all of this is for you to accept His free salvation plan. It's absolutely free. Come one, come all, accept it. Then we see here in the seventh seal, and when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for the space of a half an hour. And I saw the seven angels who stood before God, and to them that were given trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having the golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense. It begins the first of the seven trumpets, the first four trumpets. There are seven trumpets, and woe, there are yet three more after he goes through them. I believe this begins on September 24th, 2025. I think that's the beginning of the actual tribulation. So let's see. Stop sharing. Close this. Maybe I won't close it. I'll just do this in case somebody wants to go back. And let me see this. Oh, I have to go back here and start sharing. Oops. Present, share screen, and go here and share. All right. Let's see here. We want to go back to this right here. Right there. Okay. Take that out. Like I said before, that's why I believe we just went through Revelation. That's why I believe the six seals are opened through this period of time, and the seventh seal right here. The only thing that stumps me, and it would be good to see some research on that, is to understand that great tribulation. Let's see here. Did I? Okay. Hopefully I didn't mute my screen by accident. Can everybody hear me just fine? All right. Let's see. Yeah, Andy Woods. I'm subscribed to him too. All right. Our minds must be so different in a sinless, glorified body. Now I worry a little. How we're up there now. So during the tribulation, we will be, it says, come, my love, my bride, lock thyself in thy chambers. We're going to be in our mansions. We aren't going to be privy to the horrible things that are going on down here. God's going to spare us from seeing any of that. We will be locked away in our mansion. We will be visiting each other and enjoying everything that heaven has to offer. We're going to have a banquet, and I think we're going to be explained to exactly how we rule with Christ and all that that entails when we get there. And then, I think that's we just won't see what's going on here. I think that finally your family members will show up in heaven, and that'll be it. Your family members will be there. They'll be crying. They will have gone through quite an ordeal, but they're going to be so happy to be out of that ordeal and here up there in heaven with us. And then trumpets goes off is what I think. I don't know if anybody can see anything different, but that appears to be what's going to happen. Question: will we be tra- training to training to teach others? So yeah, that's what we are. And during the millennium, we are kings and priests. We will be in charge. We will send our workers, the great multitude, to go do this and go do that. Ultimately, we're going to be the captains and sergeants, and Chuck Missler is going to be a general for sure. The guy's amazing. You know, some of us are going to be captains, lieutenants, and it'll. I think that we could even look at it as the officers will be the the bride, and the enlisted will be the tribulation saints. Perhaps is how we could view it, because the lowest ranking officer still outranks the highest ranking enlisted person. I would assume they would respect them for their time, but I believe they still outrank. So, all right. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, I think the seals are going. I think that the Great Tribulation begins, and that's where I need definition. I think the Great Tribulation begins in September. I think that the seals get open. Question: do you think it's possible that the judgment, seals, trumpets, bowls, run? No, not at all. Not at all. Just go read the seventh seal. Just go read the seventh seal. The seventh seal opens up the seven trumpets. So no, it's not dumb. Don't think that at all. No, I will answer the same question over and over ad nauseum without ever getting upset at you, without ever yelling you or judging you because this is something new you've heard. No, they are not on top of each other. They are linear. The seals, then the trumpets, then the bowls. Do you think it will be conscious? Yeah, yeah. Everybody who ever had a dream about it saw themselves going up, flying up. The wind isn't going to bother your eyes because you're going to be changed. You can't go through that. You see that ceiling that's about 8 feet above your head? You die if you went through that ceiling. You have to be changed just prior to going up. The same thing with every person that's the dead in Christ. They will be changed, boom, and then we go up. It'll be so quick, though. The Bible promises it's so fast, you'll be here, and the next second you'll be sitting in heaven. Yeah, we all want to go now. I've wanted to go for 30 years, but guess what? I wish I'd have worked on this timeline 30 years ago. I just didn't think I could tackle it. If I could have worked on this 30 years ago, I would have definitely noticed that the Jubilee cycle is 49 years and not 50. I would have definitely noticed that from the triumphant entry, 1406 BC landed us in 2025. I would have known this 35 years ago, you know? So absolutely will be conscious when it happens. But in the blink of an eye, as soon as you blink your eye, you'll be sitting there 1 second. The next second, you'll be in heaven. It's not like you're going to float up like a ghost really slow. No, you blink your eye, you'll be standing in heaven in front of Jesus that quick. Yeah, when you go up, you're not gonna go out a door. You're gonna go straight through the ceiling. And yes, you have to be changed before you go up, or you'll get squished on the ceiling. Our bodies aren't couldn't handle that. Yes, I think it's March 16th. March 16th is the day of equal parts, and I think it is March 16th. You will be conscious instantly. Just blink your eyes, picture yourself where you are, blink your eye, and then picture yourself in heaven. That's how quick it'll be. In the blink of an eye, you will be standing in heaven in glory. It was hidden from you for, oh, you mean, yeah. Yeah, and I do. I see that. I definitely see that, that it was hidden for a time such as this, because if I could have figured this out, I mean, right now I look at it and it's just so simple. It's just so simple. And so, yeah, I wish I would have known this sooner, but God didn't want that. He just did not want that. Do you think we will remember? Yes, of course. You are you, and how you are is you. Any flaw that you have or any trauma in your life that causes you to act a certain way will be gone. But the beauty of you and your personality, your unique personality, will shine through in heaven. You will not forget who you are. You will forget the horrible things you did. But you look, when you get to heaven, here you are in heaven. You're getting a rod and iron, and you're standing there, and in your mind, you're thinking, what right do I have to carry this rod of iron when I've committed the very sins that I'm judging these people on? You're not judging those people by your sins. You're judging those people by Jesus' sins. And since he has none, you will go forward with that rod of iron with all strength and authority that Jesus has placed upon you. And you will not ever bring any of your flaws into the mix. You will judge based on the righteousness of Jesus during that millennial reign. Oh yeah, thumbs up. I forgot to give myself a thumbs up. All right, so let's see. Fish trumpet, it seems obvious to me. Rapture. So why do you believe there's a gap between rapture and starting tribulation? Just mathematically, it just works out mathematically. That's what shows up. The day of equal parts is March 16th. The day of equal parts is September the 24th. It's 183 days apart, and it's just math. It's just math. The math shows it will happen March 16th or March 26th, the triumphant entry. Just straight math. That's all there is to it. Anybody have any questions pertaining to time? That's my strong point. Yay, everything is fixed. Yeah, I told uh what's his name? Matt called me. Matt called me. Sorry, Matt. I always draw a blank, especially when I'm put on the line for, especially when I put, like, what's this person's name? I always draw a blank. Wackadoodle Samoan called me yesterday, and he was talking to me, and we were just talking back and forth, and I said very simply, and I've told this story before. Oh, I've told this story before that this is a king. The king is looking for a bride, and they line him up all of these women, and he doesn't like any of them. The king decides to go out for a drive one day. He gets into his carriage, and his coachman is pulling him around, and he's looking out in the town, and he sees this woman with a tattered dress, no shoes on. She's feeding the pigs. She's got slop all over her legs. Her hair is a mess. She's got some on her cheek. It's all over her hands. Her fingernails aren't done. She just looks terrible. But the king sees something in her. The king says, there she is. That's the one I want to marry. And he pulls her out of that slop. He takes her to the castle. He cleans her up, bathes her, manicures her nails, pedicures her feet, cleans her all up, gives her a bath, and he asks her, will you please marry me? And she says, I'm a pig farmer. You're a king. Why are you asking me? I should be asking you. And he says, I'm asking you of your own free will. Now that I've cleaned you up, I will send you back with a bunch of money, or you can accept my offer of marrying me and have everything. And of course, what does she say? She doesn't want to go back to feeding pigs. Of course, she says yes. She says yes. Now, she's been in the man or in the I say mansion. She's been in the place where the king lives. What do you call that? Now all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank on that. Hate my brain sometimes. Castle. She's living in the castle. She's all cleaned up. She's making decisions. She's doing stuff. She recognizes how much money she actually has. And she says to herself, I want to go back to see the people, my friends, where I came from. She jumps into stagecoach. Stagecoach driver takes her out to where she was when she fed the pigs. When she gets out of the stagecoach, do a bunch of people run up to her and hug her and da, da, da? No, they bow down to her. Why do they bow down to her? She is now the queen. Do they judge her and say, well, just 2 weeks ago, you were, or a month ago, or a year ago, whatever it was, you were feeding pigs? No, they don't ever bring that to light. She is the queen, and that's the end of it. Why? Because the king chose her. She is that important now, you see, and that's us. When we get there, you will be no bad feelings. She doesn't go out there with the mindset, well, I was feeding pigs, I'm not worthy to be. No, the king chose her. I've been chosen above all others. I will come out here and act like a queen. She will bring herself out there and act accordingly. You see what I'm saying? That's our story. That hey, Tony's in here. That's Cataclysm Tony Early. If you don't know, has a YouTube channel, great channel. Um, and we're in a little chat group that we talk back and forth. So, at any rate, you understand now that the righteousness that she will possess and exhibit will not be her own. So, her sins will not be brought into it. It will be Jesus and Jesus alone. So, all right. Anything else? Tony! Please pray for the brothers and sisters. Yeah. Recon Ron. I like that name. That's cool. Yes. Wouldn't it be more of a testimony to them if you were changed and you actually stayed here for 3 days and then you were taken somewhere for 7 days and then you were taken into the clouds? Wouldn't that be something else? I don't know. That's just a thought that I've heard other channels talking about, that we're actually changed and we stay here to testify. Hey, this just happened. You know, you might want to get to your knees and ask the Lord into your heart, and then they will become a great multitude. But no, that's just simply not possible. Not with everything we're seeing. The rapture's not 1,000 years from now. Yeah, yeah. God's land down under. But I could sit here and literally name so many people. It's just amazing. Oh yeah, Sister Sandy put up Cataclysm Tony Early's channel. So yeah, he did a really good video. Yeah, I mean the pig farming lady doesn't get any credit. Only God gets the credit. That's it. The king gets the credit for taking her out of that situation. She can't walk around pridefully saying, I was the best pig farmer covered in pig poo that there was, and that's why he chose me. That's ridiculous. He chose whom he chose, and that's it. And those whom he chose, John 6:40, nobody comes to the Father unless the Father draw him. Hey, David, I'm just on here doing a live, seeing if anybody can reconcile that one verse that I see about coming out of great tribulation. Is it possible that that means comes out just prior to the great tribulation beginning? If that's the case, then I'm leaning towards 6 months of seals. If it's not the case, then I have to reevaluate when the trumpets are going to go off within the tribulation period. which I think lasts 7.5 years. All right. Anybody have any questions? Don't accept my timeline at face value. Let's argue. Yeah, I know. Aaron was kind of a leader on that concept, wasn't he? Pushing for 2025 back in 2024. We were all like, he's crazy. It's 2025. So Aaron had it. Co-heirs really have to be there when the earth is redeemed. You can't inherit if you're still in the thick of it. True? Amen. So, like, for me, February 19th really holds nothing. Um, Not saying that I have to be accurate, but where are we at now? This is February 15th right now. We're down here somewhere, February the 15th. It's a DAR 3, February the 15th plus 22 hours. So even though it's the 15th, it's technically the 16th right now. I don't really see anything happening up until a DAR 7 when Moses dies. It's February the 20th. The same thing with Purim. It happens on a DAR 15. It's Purim, but it actually is February the 28th. It has to land 30 days after the Festival of Trees and 30 days prior to the cross. And so, why it has to be March 30th, just math. It's just straight math. It has to be March the 30th because the date the flood happened was right here on October the 31st. And 150 days after this date brings you to uh, right here, the cross. That's 150 days. No other calendar will do that. Aside from the equinox will do that because they use a 364-day year. It will do it, but they will land their days. They cannot explain the day of equal parts being Rosh Hashanah or the Day of Atonement being the other day of equal parts. Their calendar does not do that. This calendar does. Their calendar doesn't do that. So I don't believe the equinox is correct. It is not pointing us to blowing of trumpets 10 days later in the 49th Shemitah cycle, pointing to the Jubilee coming up. It just doesn't do it. So the more and more I work on this, the more I know that this is accurate. And if creation didn't begin right here on September the 11th, a lot of people I'm hearing saying creation began on September 15th. It couldn't. September 15th is the day, the first day after the day God created time. God created time here on Elul 31, and the first day is Tishri 1. If it's not, if creation didn't begin on Elul 28, September the 11th, which again, everything locks in. If it didn't start here on September the 11th, you cannot count to here and the cross be on a Wednesday. I've heard some people say it's on a Thursday. It is not. It's a Wednesday. It is 84 hours from this point to this point where it rises. However, the ark actually rests at the end of the day on Nisan 17, but Jesus continues in Hades, leading captivity captive, and brings them out exactly 84 hours after he gives up the ghost on the cross at 3 p.m. on March the 30th. He rises 84 hours later on April the 3rd, and that is coming up here very soon. That's the date of that, or the anniversary of that, is coming up here very soon. So when I hear Aaron, and I'm okay. Like I said, I'm not judging Aaron in any kind of way. But when Aaron says uh, that he believes it's Feast of Weeks, uh, now I'm going to lose Feast of Weeks. Where's Feast of Weeks? If this is Pentecost, Feast of Weeks. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Jesus and Moses ascend on Shavuot. when he says that, and he says June 6th, I say it's May 30th, and he says June 6th, which I say is first Pentecost. It's just a my math. But if he's right about Feast of Weeks, we're still in the Jubilee year. I don't want to believe we're going till May. I don't see how we're going in May. And I think this was already all fulfilled by Jesus. Feast of Weeks was fulfilled on Shavuot when Jesus ascended. Pentecost was fulfilled when Jesus sent us the Helper. Um, the cross was fulfilled. Jesus' rising was fulfilled. The wave sheaf offering 1 week later was fulfilled. And a week after that, the catching of the 153 fish happened. And then 3 days later, Jesus walks with man for 40 days and he ascends 40 days later on May 30th, Sivan 15. That's when he rises. All right. Yeah, always hit the @ sign and then type in their name and it'll turn it into a dark box so they pick it up and see it easily. Pentecost on Shabbat, Sivan 6. Pentecost, Sivan 6. Let's see why they would say something like that. Sivan 6. I have no event. Oh, Sivan 6. No, I have no event. I showed Enoch being born there, but I think that's a mistake. I think Enoch was born on, or Enoch ascended on Hanukkah and was born 3 months prior to Hanukkah on, I don't recall what it was. It might have been Tabernacles. It might have been Day of Atonement 3 months earlier than Hanukkah. Well, December 7th, 3 months. Yeah, it might have been Kislev 24. I don't recall exactly. So, all right. Yeah, I wanted to move Enoch. I don't believe now that Enoch was born on Sivan 6, but I don't see Shavuot on Sivan 6. It's Sivan 15. Mathematically, it will not count correctly when you go to by Leviticus. Leviticus clearly says that um, Jesus rises on a Sunday. It says that he does the wave sheaf offering 1 week later, the morning of. He cannot do the wave sheaf offering when he rises. He just came out of a grave. This is his law. Leviticus says that if you were in a grave, you were unclean for 7 days. Jesus would have waited for 7 days and then he performed the wave sheaf offering on the eighth day, on April the 10th, Nisan 25, in heaven. And then it clearly says, and from the morrow, from the Sabbath, which is back here. This is also a Chodesh Sabbath, the beginning of the month, which is a Sabbath. You shall count you 49 days, even unto the next day. And then what happens when we do that? When we count from this 49 days, even in the next day, we wind up on Pentecost, which is Sivan 21. It's a perfect count, and even unto the next day. So when you land on a Sunday and you have to begin your count on a Saturday, you already have 7 days. You already have 7 days. Let's see. David the Watchman. Let's see here. Some interesting stuff David is teaching us. It's okay, David. It's okay. Oh, yeah. So anyway, does anybody have any questions? I gotta get inside. My daughter called me because my grandson broke a bull that belongs to my wife, so he's so precocious. I have to get in there and clean up his mess. Feast of Weeks. Dr. Berry says Feast of Wine. Cool Cat says say Golden Nugget, and I say Timeline Symmetric. What do I say? Yeah. Is Kitty Cat still out there? Is he still making videos, that guy? What date does he say now? Does he say any date? He said, "Cats." What's Kelly? What day does he say? Feast of Weeks. Feast of Weeks is not Pentecost. Feast of Weeks is Shavuot. It's a separate feast. They're 7 days apart. We won't call it a rapture. We'll call it a gathering. We are the overcomers. Wayne over there has separated the two terms. There is a rapture and then there's a gathering. I think he calls both of them a gathering. But yes, and I don't know that it's mid-trib. It might be after 6 months. I don't know what happens at mid-trib. I believe at mid-trib is when the 144,000 are. They will be raptured because they will be alive. And then the three witnesses. I don't know. Are the 144,000 here throughout? I haven't really studied that. Are they here throughout the 7 years, or they go up in the first 3.5? That actually would tell us, since they are seal six, that would tell us at what time point, since they have to be sealed before. Um, that would tell us a time marker. The 144,000 are here for the Jews. They're not here for the rest of the planet. They're here for the Jews. They are 144,000 virgin Jewish males. Do, do, do. The church is the wedding guest, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that they're coming at the end. That simply means that the wedding's after 7 years. Don't fear the reaper. They are here to the end. Okay, so then that would not that would but they started at the sixth seal. We see the great multitude in heaven, and the 144,000 are sealed, and the restrainers still restraining until the 144,000 are sealed. I would guesstimate that the great multitude appear in heaven, and then the 144,000 are here, and they will be here going through this great tribulation. Yeah, I need a new body as well. You can see all of these timelines. They're constantly being repaired as new information comes in and fixed. Not that, like for example, Enoch is wrong on here. He ascended on Hanukkah on December the 8th, and he was born 365 years earlier, 3 months earlier than that. So, then why do I say that? Because he was 365 and a quarter years old when he ascended. He represents the Gregorian calendar, and the Gregorian calendar is 365.25 months or days long. So Enoch would have been born uh, 3 months prior to December the 7th. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking in the spring. And Rosh Hashanah, the day Jesus sat still for 2 days, the day that he admits that Lazarus has died. And a lot of people will discuss this with me, saying, "Oh, you can't really prove that." No, I can't, but it's just ironic how it actually fits. And then when I put all this other stuff together, it all fits. So Lazarus dies on it's March 16th. We got 2 days here. That's why we'll never know the day or the hour, because the Gregorian calendar simply doesn't line up. It's March 15th plus 24, March 16th. And it's Adar 31. This is the day Lazarus dies. Jesus sits still for 2 days. Go back up here. Jesus sits still for 2 days because it's Rosh Hashanah. Uh, Rosh Hashanah is a 2 day feast. Feast of Trumpets is a 1 day feast. And so we know that Rosh Hashanah was moved in Exodus 12, and it was moved here to March 17th. Nisan 1, Jesus sits still here and here. This resets. It's only plus 4 minutes here. It's completely resets. Nisan 1 is March 17th. We had that 4 minutes a day, but day 2, now Jesus starts walking. Day 3, Mary and Martha have a ceremony. According to Levitical law, when you go into a graveyard, you have to sit, you're unclean for 7 days. After 3 days, Mary and Martha perform a ceremony. Here we are on the fourth day of time, the first day of creation. God begins creation on the first day, and 1 week later, or 4 days later, we have time beginning. Time begins back over here. This is the first day of time, seventh day of time. And this is the first day. After time is created on a Wednesday, Thursday is the first day. So Wednesday and Saturday are both Sabbaths. Jesus went to the cross on a Wednesday. And I keep getting comments like, well, I took my phone and I started scrolling back like this, going back to 30 AD. And it doesn't come to a Wednesday. I'm like, you understand that the Gregorian calendar was changed in 1582 by 10 days. So, and you understand that you can't get the same day from last year, let alone from 2,000 years ago. So, no, that's not an accurate way to calculate what day it was. Scrolling back on your phone, it doesn't work that way. So, no, you can't scroll back 2,000 years and assume that you're on the right day. However, I have. I wanted to know how accurate you are. And it just turns out that 2,000 years ago, on March 30th and 30 AD, it was a Thursday. But you also have to remember the Gregorian calendar goes wrong by one day about every 2,000 something years or 3,000 years. So you're probably a day off by that time. Again, this timeline, both the uh, Hebrew timeline and the Gregorian, are all set up on a 364-day year. But if you, and that's stellar, and if you want to know the actual solar time, you add 28 minutes to this day here. So here we have Mary and Martha. They are unclean. I'm sorry, by the seventh day now, they are clean. What happens? They haven't done anything. Lazarus is raised here. They're clean. What happens? There's this meal. The Bible records that was 6 days prior to 6 days prior to the cross down here. The cross happened here. This meal, Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And then suddenly we have this other meal. It almost looks like the two stories are the same, but they aren't. His head is anointed, which means he had to get his head anointed 4 days prior to the cross. These two stories are not the same. Meal with Simon the leper. This is also happens to be the triumphant entry. It also happens to be the day Miriam dies, which is Noah and Aaron's sister, Miriam. So on this day is a triumphant entry. March 26th, Nisan 10. If creation did not begin, and if I count this day for day, and creation did not begin on September the 11th on a Sunday, which we all know creation began on Sunday, you will not land here on the cross on March 30th. It won't happen. It will not be a Wednesday. It will not happen. Creation had to begin on a Sunday. It had to begin on September the 11th. The timeline, again, is interwoven. It gets tighter and tighter to the point where nothing can be moved at all. Jesus rises here. He performs a wave sheaf offering here 1 week later on April the 10th and a Nissan 25, and he goes to the shore. It is a week of no bread. He goes to the shore. He's waiting for them. He has bread and fish. He tells them to cast his net on the other side. They pull in 153 fish. 3 days later, he begins his walk for 40 days with them. 40 days later, he ascends on the same day as Moses ascends in the mountain on May 30th, Savan 15, exactly. So it's interwoven. It all fits. Ben Parker, are you the one that sends me emails? You send me really cool stuff. Thank you. I believe you send me emails. Gonna rewind. Yeah, am I getting boring? Do I need to go? After he was resurrected, he ate fish. Yeah, I think, like I said, but you're right, David. The Terry, where's the Terry? Where do you find it at? And so, you know, I think the time Jesus was here, the Terry, because we're all going to attempt to count 6,000 years, right? But if we do, it was 1997, so we would all be very wrong. Yeah. My wife's at work. My grandson broke it, and she likes that bowl. So I get to go in there and clean it up. Probably have to cover up for him. Yeah, I think it's perfectly written exactly the way it is written in that it doesn't tarry, but it appears to us as though it does, but it's not going to tarry, and we're we're going to David, bold judgment. The guy possesses a higher IQ than the rest of us, so it's kind of sometimes hard to keep up with him. He functions on a higher level um, than the rest of us do, which I respect. So yeah, I have to go in there and deal with the bowl judgment. Question: do we sleep in heaven? You do whatever you want in heaven. Yes, you will be eating food. I don't know about disappearing. I think you're going to have a body. I know that Jesus walked through a wall, but yes, I'll tell you what. I said that to Kevin. I says, when I get to heaven, is it wrong for me to say I want to get into my mansion, jump into my bed, and just fall asleep for like 12 hours straight and just completely wake up completely refreshed, so yeah, all of the things. I mean, we won't be using the bathroom because everything you eat will be perfectly assimilated, will be perfectly burnt. It's like you see somebody with a high metabolism, they're able to eat twice as much as you even look at a donut and you gain 5 pounds, while this other person just eats complete trash food all day long and they're skinny as a rail. Their metabolisms are the same thing in heaven. Everything you eat will metastasize. Did I say metastasize? Will metabolize. There will be no metastasis in heaven. Will metabolize, and you will just burn off everything. There will be no going to the bathroom. So but yes, you'll be eating, and the food will taste better. The colors. Everybody that reports going to heaven during a near-death experience says the colors are bold. The smells. Had a dream one night that I was in some kind of a mansion, and I was walking by a room, and I could smell. This bride was inside getting ready, and she sprayed some perfume on herself, and the smell. I woke up smelling it, and I asked my wife, "Did you spray perfume or something?" Because she was asleep next to me, and she's like, and she wakes up anytime I move. She wakes up. I almost died next to her, so she is scared to death. I hate that she has to go through that, but she will. Anytime I move, will wake up, and as soon as I wake up to go do anything or move over, she's like, "Are you okay?" She's scared, and it's been like that for years since my surgery. But the smell was absolutely fragrant. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. And when I woke up, I realized I wasn't in that mansion and walking by that room with the bride inside spraying perfume on herself, but I could still smell it. I could still smell it. And I was like, wow. And that's one of those dreams that I have that I text over to Spinebreaker because he's like, you know, explains them to me. And I thought, wow, that's incredible. Isn't it amazing some of the things that God has given us? But it was so fragrant. I can't get over how fragrant it was. I was born with a birth defect. I haven't given this testimony in quite a while. I probably have a lot of more subscribers. No, no motorcycle. Yeah, I'm gonna have a motorcycle in heaven. What are you talking? I thought you said to have a motorcycle accident. No, yeah, that's my horse. I'm not getting a horse that's slobbering all over the place. No, I'm getting a Hayabusa. That's my motorcycle. That's what we're getting. I was born with a birth defect. Everybody who's in the womb's intestines are outside of their stomach, and they are out rotated 240 degrees out of whack. Mine only rotated 90 and came back in, which made them 180 degrees, which made them upside down. This condition, you can live with this condition to about 30 or 40, and then you die. I lived until I was 52, and I was sitting in the bank doing something, and I called my wife. I said, I don't know what just happened, but I don't feel so good all of a sudden. And we went to the hospital, and the hospital said, we don't know what's going on with you. We're going to put a camera inside of you to see what's happening. And the next thing that happens is I wake up 5 hours later. My wife is scared to death. It turns out that my intestines were upside down, and they had to remove them, take out 2 feet of small intestine, and put everything back together and spin them correctly, like they should have spun when I was in the womb, and put them back in. And to this day, it's a living, I don't want to say it's a living hell, but it is not fun. I can't go anywhere. I can't do what the rest of you can do. I can't ride motorcycles anymore. I can't do anything that takes me too far away from um, public services. Let's say I can't stay away from that too far because of this condition. And it's been like that now for 7 years. I should have died. The doctor said that in the last 40 years, nobody, there's 40 people in the last 40 years have served, or 70 people in the last 40 years have survived your condition at the age of 50 and over. We don't understand how you didn't know that there was a problem just prior to you feeling ill. So that's my story. I almost died. I had a vulvarus. It almost popped, and I almost bled to death internally. Uh, it was March 14th of the year 2018 when I went down, and by the time I could get out of it took me months to recover from that. I still am not fully recovered from that. I have a scar from here to here, like all the way up and down. Fat boy. Is that new Suzuki? What is that Suzuki with the big tire on the back? What is that? It looks like a complete trim bike. I don't recall. A fat boy, that's a Harley, isn't it? No, there'll be no Harleys in heaven. What are you talking about? Yeah, it was awful. It was horrible. But you know what it did? I'm thankful for it. I built all those timelines, and I told myself I'm never going to be able to figure this out. I threw away all the timelines and said I'm done. I can't figure it out. Maybe I'm not even supposed to. And that stopped me in my tracks. I got involved with this shortly after the Revelation 12 sign. I was in bed. I was stuck in bed. I started watching, of course, Christian content on YouTube, and started seeing this group of people uh, that were searching for the rapture. And I laughed. I'm like, you can't figure it out. You can't figure it out. I tried for years. You can't figure it out. And here I am. I began to see this stuff come together, and I had nothing but time on my hands to research. So I did. Uh, so I'm very thankful. You had a heart at my. Yeah, I'm very thankful for the birth defect. God set that up before I was born. He set that up to stop me in my tracks at the age of 52. Now I'm 60. Stop me in my tracks at the age of 52 on March 14th. And here I am at the age of 60. I'm not great, but I am looking forward to a new body, because this one has been cut open for hernias, appendix, cysts, that surgery, you name it. I've been cut open, and most people get to go through life without being ripped apart like that. But I'm missing so many things, so it's no fun. But who cares, right? Who cares? God slowed me down. I'm so thankful He did. So, does anybody have anything else, or I need to get off and go inside and look at my wife's favorite bowl that my grandson broke and see how bad it is? Or is there anything else? Anybody has a question? 9 feet. Wow, it was like straight to the bathroom, wasn't it? Yeah, you're gonna lose a lot of weight if you lose that much. I lost 2 feet. I can't even imagine that much. Wow. I watched One of the Dragon. Oh, David did? Yeah, I wasn't looking at it. How can I get a recording of this presentation? What does that mean? Yeah, I know that God slowed me down. I was never going to go back to look at timelines. I said it's not possible to know, and I had given up on timelines. I tried to work them, and every single time, see, I won't make a timeline and try to convince you that this is accurate. I won't do that. I didn't even, and initially, when I realized that I had something here, when I first made my videos years ago, you'll see me talk about it, but say I'm uncertain. But the further I went and the more I saw it lock in, the more convinced I was that the timeline is actually accurate. And for a guy who, this was what I prayed for, this is what I wanted. And then out of nowhere, the most bizarre thing that stopped me in my track, upside down intestines. I mean, are you serious? Like, seriously, that? It could have been a heart attack, it could have been anything, but upside down intestines? How weird is that? That's almost comical, you know? And so, yeah, I had to sell the bike. I couldn't ride bike anymore. There's no way. And, it stopped me in my tracks to get back into this. And then this time I found a date, the day of equal parts that happens. And that was fulfilled this year, you know, the Shemitah cycle began, and then 7 years later, well, the cycle began with the blowing of trumpets in the seventh month and first day. But then the Revelation 12 sign was a heads up. Hey, this happened on September the 24th. This is the Day of Atonement. 7 years from now, 2017 to 2024, 7 years from now, you will blow trumpets on the seventh day and 24th day of the seventh month. And then it will herald in the Jubilee, which will begin in 5 months and 20. It just, I couldn't believe how it fit. I could trust me, for 5, 6 years I've been saying, God, why doesn't the day of equal parts land 6 months apart? How do I explain that it's in March 16th and then on September the 24th? I knew it was the Day of Atonement, but couldn't understand. And then I understood. I understood very well that, whoops, I went the wrong way. I understood very well why. It was the anniversary of the Revelation 12 sign, and it happened right here on September the 24th, the Day of Atonement. And that's when they had to blow trumpets. That's how I know this is the Jubilee year. The Jubilee year is not coming up in 7 years at the end of the tribulation. That is not the Jubilee year. That is the seventh year, the year of rest. But this is the Jubilee year. And how do I know? Because it's 1,000, because it's 1406, and you multiply 70 times 49, and it's the math is perfect. Math is everything. It has to be simple for the average person to understand it. It can't be confounding or confusing or compounded, or if you do this, this, and this, it all has to work out to the same place. Yeah, kind of. We are kind of in 2024. We're technically in 2025. We're in 5784. That's the one that we're in. We're in 5784 because the Jews. I love how people are like, no, we don't follow the Jews. They were wrong. Da, da, da. But we're going to follow their moon. YouTube. What do I do? YouTube content settings will allow live chat history. Oh, it's in YouTube content. Okay, YouTube Studio. That's where I go. Do I go now or do I go after the video? Let me look at it. YouTube Studio. Where do I go to do that? Where did he say to go? Let me look at that again. A live chat studio content. He said go to content. Okay, I see content. And where do I go to? I'm in content. Do I have to do it on each video one by one? Restrictions. Is that under restrictions? Made for kids? No. Set made for kids? No, not made for kids. I don't understand what that is. That's not. It's not under views. No, it's not under views. Get rid of that. I don't know where to go, David. Visibility? No, I have no idea where to go. Type. Video shorts, live play. I don't know. That seems to be some kind of a. Once I get into channels, I don't know where to go. Go into YouTube Studio, find the video, edit it, scroll all the way down, check the box. Good. But is it there now? It's not really technically there right now, is it? No, it's not there yet. So I have to go in and engage a live chat after this is over, I'm guessing, in YouTube Studio. Okay, that's what I'll do. I saw that people were able to do that, and I was curious about that. So I think I'll go in there and do that. Good things happen at the end of a Jubilee year. So we're coming up on the beginning of a Jubilee year. The Jubilee year will begin on March 17th. Um, if good things happen at the end, we will have to wait an entire year. So I don't believe that. We're coming up on the beginning of the Jubilee and the beginning of the next 49-year cycle of Shemitah. And we know that we are because the 7th-year anniversary of the Revelation 12 sign is September the 24th, 7-year anniversary marked when they were supposed to blow trumpets on the 7th month and 10th day, as opposed to all the other years where they blew on the 7th month and 1st day. On Tishri 1, they blew on Tishri 10. That's the date that the Revelation 12 sign happened. I know everybody tries to move it, but again, you don't follow the moon. Screenshots from Mike later. Yeah, I'll look at it. So is that a thing? Everybody goes in and does that? It it was default setting. Maybe it's already set that way. I don't think I've ever seen my live chat later on. I'll go in and fix that. But do you have to do that every video, David? Is that something you have to do every video? So anyway, yeah, a lot of good conversation. Yeah, and I haven't really had time to read all the lives, see what's going on in here. According to Leviticus, yeah, a lot of stuff related to the beginning. So when we read Leviticus, it's a little bit confusing, but we see that you blow trumpets. It's discussing the 7 sevens, the 49 years. The trumpets are blown in the 49th year. That is not the Jubilee, but it's blown on the anniversary of the Revelation 12 sign. And then, oh, it only works on, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Well, yeah, that makes sense. It's only blown on the 49th year, heralding in the Jubilee, which will begin in 5 months and 20 days on Nisan 1, which I have down as March 17th or March 16th at sunset. I try to keep myself busy. Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. I'll go into there after this and do that. So, all right. Does anybody have any questions? Anything else? I've been on here. I don't even know how long it's been. It's been a minute. Tony's texting me. He's probably telling me, get off already. I want to do a live. You're taking up the airspace all by yourself. So let me get off here. Going, going what? Going live at that time, Mike. Oh no, well, it depends if I'm working. I have a full-time job, and I don't know if I haven't really looked. I won't see my schedule that far out, so I don't know if I'll be working on that day. It'll be working. I will occupy. I will occupy until the day of the rapture. As much as I think it's going to happen on that day, I will occupy until that day. I will go to work. I will pay my bills. I will do everything I'm supposed to do, and I will occupy up until that day. If I quit my job and I'm changed for 3 days and I walk around and God wanted me to speak to somebody at my job and I quit my job just prior to the March 16th, well, what good would that do? So no, we occupy. Stay right where you're at. Keep doing what you're doing. And if it's a fact that we're changed and we kind of hang out here for 7 days or or however long, um, then you'll be there, right? You'll be right there. You'll be able to tell people what happened. You've been telling them if you see me go. Maybe it's if you see me changed. I don't know. So we'll see, right? I wish I had all the answers. I do when it comes to time. I don't know what's going to happen at the rapture. So, all right. Yeah, I will. I'll come back. I like doing these types of videos live. They take a little bit longer, but it's good to get in here so I can see the mindset of everybody and not so much in the comment section like that guy. He took over Gaza. This guy's an idiot. He's not building the temple in Gaza. Nobody said that. Don't embarrass yourself. Go watch the video. Nobody said that. Like that thought never even crossed my mind when I made the title. So that's what that's the heart. You're not embarrassing me. I mean, I already knew the temple wasn't going to be built in Gaza. You embarrass yourself for not listening to the video, saying something dumb like that. That's literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Who's going to build a temple in Gaza? Where's that ever come up at? So anyway, all right, let me get inside, deal with the grandson and the bowl judgment. David. All right, we will chat with you all. Go to a quiet place by yourself. Nobody needs to know, and you don't need to tell anybody. Accept the Lord in your heart. It is as simple as taking that free cup of salvation. It's that simple. That's all you need to do. Take the free cup and drink from it. Everything in the cup is done already. All of the salvation you'll ever need is in that cup, and it is as simple as taking it and drinking it. That's it. You don't have to be a Bible scholar. You don't have to follow a specific group and have specific enlightenment. You got to be careful with them. Sewing works in there. Even if you understood all this or you understand none of this, it doesn't hinge whatsoever on your salvation. Salvation is of the Lord. Hey, Bubba News is here. How you doing? Um, yeah. I messed up. I was live on StreamYard. I could have invited people in here. Now I have to go deal with my grandson. But I should have thought of that like an hour ago. Somebody should have said, "Can I come in live?" Ugh. Bubba News, he's got a new channel. I don't know how new he is, but he's a growing channel, and I love his take on the news. It's refreshing to see an actual Christian. Nothing against the preppers. I think that they're doing what God has put them in place to do, but I think it's lovely or awesome to see an actual Christian hold the news and give it from a Christian perspective, and Bubba News does that. I love his channel. So, oh no, I'm not the one that's going to be mad at the grandson. It's the grandma that's going to be mad. So I have to go in there and work out a story that grandma will accept. So he's not in trouble. He's not in trouble for me. I didn't like that bowl anyway. Now I'm in trouble if she watches this. I don't want to get in trouble. She takes too good a care of me. Thank you. Thank you, Bubba Nose. That's awesome. Yeah, that's the one message, the one quick short message from all of the works base that I see out here. If you believe in a flat earth, I mean, come on, stop with that. It's Jesus and Jesus alone. That's it. And that's all. You see something here that grabs your attention? Fantastic. I'm glad it helped you. But that did not save you. None of this stuff saved you. The only thing that saved you is what I keep saying. Jesus is the only way. That's it. That's all. Yeah, please go subscribe to Bubba News. He's just a great guy. I really like watching. I wish you had more content. So anyway, we said that. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Um, it boosted my mood. Yeah, why not? I mean, that's what we're here for. Doesn't it say to comfort one another with these words? Let me discomfort you with some words. If you don't do this and if you don't do that, you're going to be left behind and you're going to be ravished by the tribulation. And it's just going to be a horrible nightmare because you don't believe the way I do or you don't understand the way I do. Does that even sound legitimate? Like, seriously, is that even close to legitimate? And the answer is no. It was so simple. The devil complicated it so much. And it was so simple. Jesus, and that's it. Once you get that salvation on you, you can't get it off. So, oh, David said something extremely brainy, and I don't understand those two words. So now I'm going to have to put the live chat up so everybody can see it. And I'm going to have to scroll back and Google what Euclidean tesseract cube. Oh, I know what that is. Isn't that that's tesseract? That's that. I know what a tesseract is, but I can't explain it. I've seen it though. Love this, therefore, encouraging one another. Build up, yes, build. How simple it is. How simple it is. That's it. It's over. It's done. How simple it is. Not. Don't sow your works into it. Don't listen to anybody sow their works into it. Somebody will tell you, our group does this and our group does that. They are deceiving you. They are lying to you, and they are taking you down with them. At the very least, they're losing crowns. At the very most, you will finally understand that it was the blood and the blood alone in during the tribulation. Yeah, I don't know what that means. June 1st at the twinkle of an eye. I don't even know. I don't even know what that means. Flat Earth must be Dems. I don't know. I know a lot of friends of mine that I love dearly that think the Earth is flat. I don't argue with them. It's a waste of time and effort to even discuss it. When I'm discussing the Earth, it will be round and it'll be going around the sun. But when my friends discuss it, it might be flat and the sun circles around. I'm not going to argue with them. I'm not going to disclaim them or disown them because they think that. It's a waste of time to even consider that either one way or the other. And I've seen the comments in Facebook. It's just like if you think the Earth is a sphere, then you're not going to heaven. And I'm just like, do you guys even understand? The devil works so hard for works. He just works so hard. So anyway, we've been on here for a while. Thank you everyone for joining me. I'm going to get off and give the airways over to anyone else who wants to go live, and we will chat with you all again later. Let's see here. How did that work? Did I mess something up? No? Ah, there I am. My wife says I need a haircut. It's getting quite long. I need to get a haircut. My hair looks like, and it's really white. It's like turning white. It doesn't look as white in here, but it is extremely white. So anyway, we will end the stream here and I will chat with you all again later. Thank you for joining us. Remember, Jesus is the only way. He is the only way. He's the only way there, and no amount of work. Hold this beautiful. Yeah, it's happening. It's going. At least I made it to 60 before I started really losing it. But anyway, we will chat with you all again later.